Woo! What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily, and hop in the Discord. Link for that's in the description box down below.
What's up, everybody? We are here for the Day 3 recap and reactions for our Dallas Cowboys in this 2023 NFL Draft. It ended today. It's all over. The draft is over, but it's just beginning here when it comes to 2023 and this season, this offseason, and continues. Rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, plus undrafted free agents. We're going to discuss it all here.
Yeah, quite a few surprises, I think, for most of us Cowboy fans for the decisions that Dallas made, but we're going to get into that. And, of course, if you've never heard of some of these names, we're going to get into that as well.
Tomorrow we'll have a full breakdown. Today is just a recap and reaction and, initial reactions on these guys. And also we have initial reaction about we're in the house tonight, repping that star over everything here, my Cowboys family. The wife here, MCW, MCF, repping rounds 4, 5, 6, 7 here. You got somebody that got drafted in Day 3, a quarterback called Dak Prescott for our Dallas Cowboys. Hence what I was watching. When I was watching, we were repping it this way. So welcome into the channel, guys. Appreciate everybody. Again, hit the like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But baby, let's shout out those that make it go round and round here.
That's right. MCF. And right now, the sponsor of the week, a pretty familiar name around these parts. Much love to Mark Hosepian. Mahalo to you. Not just the sponsor of the week, he's also bossing that stream boss up there with 71 points on the board. And of course, representing on the Cash App side of things, we have Trent. And
all the way from where? Australia. Repping that star over everything. This guy right here, the king of the Cash App. Much love to Trent M. And then we also have some leaders here to discuss here. At least one leader for this week, because the guy taking the top spot currently on the overall board and the Cash App is that guy right there, Jason Renfro.
Much love, Jason.
Yes, and he also had a pre-stream drop today, guys, of a $3.04 drop, saying draft could have been a lot better for us. We'll discuss tonight here on MCF and tomorrow night. Don't forget. Also, we had a drop from Bobby Bottles in the Cash App. Much love to
Bobby.
him. He dropped the $3 holler. He's on that board above us. He said, "Go Cowboys." Appreciate the love, man. And support. Can't do this without you guys. Support in the chat. Support with the love. Support with that star. Repping it over everything here in MCF, my Cowboys family. So starting off with that. Starting with the shout outs. But how do we continue the thing here without currently having any memberships, any kind of super chats available? How's a couple ways you can help out the channel, especially a night like tonight? We're packed with information. The only way you get us to really check out if you really want to say something, here's the way to get our attention to help out the channel. Drop some love. There's 4 different ways. As I'm wearing that Dak 4.
Yes.
On a Day 3.
Through the Cash App, of course, money sign My Cowboys Family. The Venmo, at My-Cowboys-Family. The regular PayPal link. And of course, last but certainly not least, you have the Streamlabs link, which lets your message show up right here on screen, just like a super chat. And of course, takes down Mark Hosepian's stream boss.
The stream boss is up for grabs when you go through that message on the screen. Much love to everybody who's done that. The people that represented in the past, people represent this week during draft week as we come to a close tonight, but it's never over. We're going to have so much more to discuss and kind of check out all of our draft picks as a whole tomorrow as a draft board, as a whole draft class. We'll talk about that in much more detail and some breakdowns. We already broke down Mozzie. We're going to break down a couple other guys from yesterday that we drafted and all the guys from today on quick breakdowns on all these guys and what they said, what the Joneses said, what everyone's saying. So, and we want to know what your guys are saying too. So again, I'll check the chat because I do think we have a couple drops still coming through here.
All right. So while I go ahead and do the shout outs, I'll go ahead and let you double check that here in a second. So thank you to everybody here hanging with us, like House Nelson in the house. Jason Renfro, much love.
Yeah.
Hector Colon representing. James Ruff said the draft was confusing. Now, hopefully, like I said, hopefully we have some clarification at least on what the Cowboys are trying to do. Now, whether you like it or not, that's
I agree, though. There was some questions here in this draft, and I found some answers. Some things are not answered yet, so we're going to talk about it.
Rolando Rodriguez, all the way from South Texas.
Yeah, always repping it.
Even Lee Side Harold, he's here to talk real football.
Well, his Texans
Thomas
are
Garrett,
the worst.
Superior Garrett, what's up? Mike Aldana, much love. Hoodlum representing. Bobby Bottles, of course. We have, let me see, Bruce got the Toxic Juice in the house. Big Boss Man, what's up? Skeptical fan, always staying skeptical.
Always.
We have, let's see who else is here.
Got to stay skeptical with this front office sometimes, but we're going to decipher some of this.
El Cool, what's up? Hello and hi. We have Frame Rippers, a.k.a. Voodoo Alpha, much love. Let me come back down. Magic Man, what's up, Ron?
The Don.
I'm not sure if that's Ron the Don.
I don't
just
know
in
if
case.
it is.
Let me see.
Much
Karam
love.
Hawani, what's up? Hello and hi. So, baby, I think that's everyone here so far.
How's it going? Saturday night. The wrap up here. I know it's a little late, but we want to make sure we got all the right information, plus the undrafteds, which we're going to kind of kick off with here to kind of, shortly here. I'm going to get a little buffer here of information. First and foremost, guys, as we get rolling, the 2024 NFL draft is now that this draft is over. The 2024 draft is going to be held in Detroit, Michigan, on April 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2024. So, again, mark your calendars. It's a year away from now, a little less than a year away from now. You're going to have Caleb Williams and Drake May. The hype of those guys already starting. So anyways, that's what we're about this draft. Now, NFL kind of stuff going on in this draft. And I know you missed some of it today. We had a real busy day, guys. That's why we couldn't go live throughout the day. We had a lot of things going on. But let's start off with kickers. Special teams, what happened today? Well, there's a kicker taken. We know Moody was taken yesterday, right at the end of the third round by the Niners. Today, Chad Ryland, the guy the Cowboys are looking at here, right at the end, right at the borderline of the last days of interviews and stuff like this with these players. And we like them, kind of trying to be under the radar. Well, the Patriots said no. Patriots drafted him today, guys, in the fourth round. It would have been a Cowboys option. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones were looking at that as an option for the draft today. Moody gone last night, Ryland gone now today.
The interest was there.
Yeah, Patriots also drafted a punter a couple rounds later. It's crazy. So they went to all special teams, hardcore, and to me,
nice to see the special teams love and representation. But
to me, though, I think when you hear Jerry Jones, what he said about the kicker today and yesterday, I think we're heading towards a veteran. It's kind of, I don't want to say star kicker, but Robbie Gould. Can we interest you guys in that?
Hey,
$4 million a year is worth it.
If that's what we end up doing, that would be perfectly fine with me.
That's an option. And again, Jerry Jones says those veterans don't miss as much. They don't have the yips like the younger guys. You know this, Jerry, so do something. Don't get a scrub that's here for 10 years either. In the NFL.
Brett Maher is not the veteran who's not going to get the yips.
Yeah, exactly. So when you look at that, that's special team side. Now our picks that we traded away. There's two of them. One we got Brandon Cooks, one we got Stephon Gilmore, 2 fifth-rounders. And don't forget the Jonathan Hankins 6th-round pick. That's part of this draft. You'll see at the bottom there. That's why I list those guys in this thing. But
yeah, and just in case you don't know, the front office considers them part of this draft, which is the more important part. Like, just look at our draft picks by themselves is one thing. When you add those guys to the mix,
it's a lot better.
It feels a little different.
Yeah, and again, we know it's free agency, but it's free agency with trades and stuff like this, during the free agent period, but it's trading our draft picks. And so that's kind of a draft. When we traded for Amari Cooper, that first-round pick, that's our first-round pick, Amari Cooper that year. This year, we got 2 fifths and a 6th. 2 fifths, Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore, and then the 6th is Jonathan Hankins. That's a steal. So, again, short-term, not like 4-year, 5-year deals like a rookie, and a little more expensive. Nonetheless, that's what the draft picks were used for. So we'll talk about it because the Cowboys got 8 players today, not 7 total. Like total for this draft. We got 5 more, not 4. We were supposed to have 4 today. We traded for another player. I'll discuss that in a minute. But just so you guys know, the pick 161, the 161st pick. And again, I'll actually show this to you guys at the bottom of the screen to kind of give you a visual of what I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to show when it comes to part of the draft. I consider this part of the draft. Right under MCW over here. You see pick 161, Brandon Cooks. That was to the Texans. And that was the one we got Brandon Cooks for, right? Mm-hmm. That pick was traded to the Rams that the Texans got from us. And then the Rams used that pick to get Appalachian State linebacker Nick Hampton. All right, there's one pick. You see Brandon Cooks or Nick Hampton. Then you get pick 176, which is Stephon Gilmore's trade pick there, right? And that pick was utilized by the Colts to draft running back Evan Hull from Northwestern. Hull or Gilmore? You know the answer here. And then the last thing I wanted to say, well, 2 things actually, because the Chargers, we were looking at Max Duggan as a possibility, or Duggan, whatever. The point is that the TCU quarterback was available in the 7th round. He got drafted at 239. Almost made it to the end. Cowboys would definitely pick them up as a undrafted free agent, but he was picked up by the Chargers. And who? Oh yeah, Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore wanted him, right? He'll be at SoFi Stadium there playing in LA. And one last little couple of blips here about the Eagles. My goodness, they had a damn good draft. I gotta admit it. I think they had a good draft. I think they made some good moves. They're going to win for now. That's the Howie Roseman factor, and that's why he's just a better overall, like, pure GM. And then I'm going to say, guys, then Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones, when he gets involved, he screws stuff up. So Roseman gets involved, and he might make a mistake. He fixes it. It just seems to fix it. They fix things better with Howie Roseman.
But you know what? The same reason that we're excited about the Mozzie and Tyler Smith matchups to come, iron sharpens iron. So, it's okay. The better that Philly gets, that just means the better that we get and the less excuses that you have when we beat them.
And that's what I want to say is because Mark Hosepian, our sponsor of the week, and Stream Boss 71 Points, he's always saying, it's the talent is not that good in the East. It's the NFC least, and it has been like that until this year. And I think it's going to continue because the Giants improved. Washington improved a little bit. Giants improved a lot. Eagles improved as much as they could, being already a top team. And then we improved. So I'm sorry, but right now in the NFC East, that is the division to beat right now. And I think that's where we're going to get better, in a full season of good teams in the NFC East. And then whatever other teams we play, good or bad, whatever, who cares? We handle the East. We should be able to take that forward in the playoffs and really keep that momentum going through with that. So the Eagles, so I got to give them credit. After the draft, we're talking a little undrafted here. The Eagles got a guy that I was hoping the Cowboys would bring in, Eli Ricks, cornerback from Alabama. He was Alabama and LSU. He transferred. But the cornerback Eli Ricks, to me, was maybe even a 6th or 7th round guy, right? I mean, and he was there waiting, and he ended up signing with the Eagles, as an undrafted free agent. So unfortunately, they still did making moves even after the draft, which kind of copied the Cowboy way. And then they made a deal they made some trades in this, and they traded up for Kylie Ringo, cornerback from Georgia, of course. They had they also made a trade with the Detroit Lions, guys. They traded for DeAndre Swift from the Detroit Lions. We knew he was going to be available. I mean, the Cowboys would have made a move for him. We don't need that now, but because of the pick we made today. But DeAndre Swift was there. Cowboys didn't go after him, and the Eagles went after him, got him. The Eagles get DeAndre Swift and a 7th-round pick in this draft, pick number 249. The Lions, they get back a 4th-round pick in 2025, 2 years from now. And a 7th-round pick, they go up about 40 spots. They go to 219, I think, or 30 spots. They go up 30 spots in the 7th round. That's what the deal comprised of there for the Eagles and Lions trade there. But DeAndre Swift, guys, entering the last year of his contract, he carries a $1.77 million base salary. They get him cheap for 1 year. That's basically what they're trading him for. And again, if he leaves this year from the Eagles and plays on his contract, goes somewhere else, the Eagles are banking. They're giving up, a 2025 4th-round pick? They're going to try to get a comp pick from DeAndre Swift if he leaves the Eagles. So they're replacing that lost pick with a comp pick.
They're kind of borrowing from us a little bit.
Yeah, well, you see, we make a move today that kind of is very similar to that in a trade situation. So again, guys, he leaves this year. They'll try to get a 4th or 5th round pick at the very least. The Eagles in comp pick, and so they're losing the 2025 5th, and they're getting an extra one next year from this trade. So the Eagles are making out. They're following the Cowboy book here on making moves, and they may be doing better. I don't know. Then Howie Roseman knows how to do stuff over there. Eagles will now have 6 Georgia players on their roster, and there were all these 6 guys from Georgia, multiple ones here, like 3 of them in this draft, 4 of them in this draft, plus DeAndre Swift, also from Georgia. They've got 6 guys in the last year.
Obviously, they have a strategy, or at least a team that they really, really like.
Yeah, that's right. And we also got the man staying skeptical.
Much love, skeptical fan with a $10 and 69 cents.
I gotta say that is the drop of the week. Here on a draft week, that's the big drop of the week. Much love to the man staying skeptical. What was that? $10 or what? He's making a run on that top spot. 10 what? I missed it.
1069.
1069. And with that, baby, in the Streamlabs drop there, and again, he is moving up this board here. I gotta say, Mr. Skeptical fan is like 5, 6, 7, 8 away from Jason Renfro's top spot right now as we speak. So
there you go.
That's a move there. He's right behind them. What did the man who stays skeptical say?
So he said, Turpin is no longer the smallest player on the roster.
And I even said today he might be replacing Turpin. We might not need Turpin now because we got little man Deuce. We'll talk about Deuce in a minute.
He's a family guy. Let's call it that way. So we're keeping it in the family.
Keeping it in the family in Dallas, yes.
Honestly, he actually is the smallest guy, I think, since we've been tracking, like, player sizes or something.
I don't know. He's tiny. I don't think he's the smallest ever, but he's definitely at the bottom.
I'm pretty sure, because he's not just 5'5". It's not just that he's small size-wise. It's his weight
he's
as well.
He's 176,
I think I saw him officially at 179. But that was also from an article released about a week and a half ago. So obviously, maybe something changed. Maybe he had a few Big Macs or something. Or maybe he cut out the Big Macs. Either way, my point is that I'm pretty sure in there it actually mentioned there's another player that's 179, but I think they're like 5'6". So he is the smallest and the lightest.
No,
combination.
Incorrect. Turpin is lighter. Turpin's
but
in
he's taller.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying
Turpin's
that
taller
combination,
by an inch.
But so is this other guy. That's what I'm saying. They might be more or less the same weight, but he's smaller.
Right, he's the smallest by weight, and when you take both into account, yeah.
Just to say. Anyway, that was a lot of talking there to say yes, skeptical.
Exactly. You're right.
Thank you, by the way. Appreciate that. Real quick.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and hit up the chat real quick. Yes, no, maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, let me
see Darius Davis.
Yeah, hit up the chat real quick.
Billy Scott, much love. Oh, cool. So I have to read this comment here real quick by Amazing Games because it cracked me up. He's like, fuck Howie Roseman and the freaking Eagles. They whiffed on the trade to get Bijan and settled for fat-ass defensive tackle. Everyone took the cheese. I'm so mad when they drafted half the state of freaking Georgia.
Listen, I think that that's an overkill. At the same time, last year they had Nakobe Dean and they added others this year and in the draft and DeAndre Swift. I don't know what they're doing. It's like Georgia North over there now in Philly. But just saying, doesn't always translate into the NFL when it comes to these guys. And the fact that you have a lot of talent playing on a team like Georgia, you take a guy or two away and then you see a lot of blemishes come to light. But hey, they're trying to keep these guys together. So they might have that camaraderie that's needed, to maybe make that transition a little better from college to the NFL. I don't know. I hope not. F Philly. Now, I do want to give a shout out here to a couple people that dropping the love, like Billy Scott.
Thank you so much,
Tennessee Titan fan, but he's here repping the MCF, and much love to him. I know the Tennessee Titans, they went to quarterback running. They went all offense here. I think it went a lot of offense. So I know they got a couple guys I liked as well, and especially in the first round, they had a great pickup there, and was Skoronski or something like this. So Billy Scott, and I think they had Will Levis or whatever he was their quarterback taking the second round. So they're trying to get something going there in Tennessee. So much love to Billy Scott. He did have a comment. He said, "Go Cowboys!"
Always.
No, he said, "The Titans are winning it all this year. Book it." Unless they play the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, then he knows they're going to lose.
I will say the AFC is definitely looking a little bit more competitive just across the board, right? Where it used to be the Patriots were basically, heavily favored every year, and then maybe like one or two other teams, and everyone else was kind of there along for the ride. Now it feels a lot more equal, right? Like, the Titans are hanging with all these other teams, KC, and I'm trying to think, I guess, look,
you got me there.
My mind completely blanked out. But my point is that between Aaron Rodgers going over there, you still have teams like the Bengals. You have teams like the Chargers. You have teams like...
We named like 8 great teams with great quarterbacks, and, there's only 7 playoff spots on the AFC side, so... I don't know if that's what you were referring to. Yeah, okay, all right.
Sorry about that. But yeah, real quick, thank you. I appreciate you, Billy Scott. Much love. So,
and we got another drop by Jason Renfro. He said, hold up, skeptical. He ain't taking over yet. He dropped an $11 Micah Parsons holler.
Micah Parsons representing.
Upping the drop of the week so far. I think Justin Quarles had the biggest drop, But, yes, I think since that pre-stream drop by Q-Man with that Tony Pollard holler, Jason Renfro now has the top drop of the week with that Micah Parsons. Much love to Jason Renfro. JR repping it. And the Cash App side, he said go Cowboys, and he's also on the top of the board right now. So we'll see how that continues. His lead about, 15 over Skeptical, staying Skeptical in a close battle there for the top spot on the overall board side. Now,
so real quick, he said in the chat, we need to call them the Georgia Sheagles.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that the Eagles once went as the Philadelphia Bulldogs way back when. I'm not sure if I'm right about that. That might have been their first name.
Back to their roots.
Feels like they want to.
Has there ever been a team that drafted this many players from one
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess the Cowboys in Fresno State. Oh, I'm sorry, Boise State. I'm joking.
We'll have to see. Even we didn't have a fully Boise State draft.
I know. This was and again, thank goodness, because if we were, we'd be losing. At least Georgia's competing out there. So look, here's the thing. Let's move on from the Eagles. F Philly. You know how we feel about them. Let's stick on this right here. That star. Undrafted free agents. We'll talk about this draft in a minute, but this is part of the post-draft, all right? This is probably the newest news you can say about our Dallas Cowboys right now. Who do we pick up as an undrafted? And it's not done. There'll be more guys signed tonight, more guys signed through tomorrow. We'll break it all down tomorrow, a little more in-depth about these undrafted guys. But let me just touch on these guys real quick 10 guys the Cowboys have signed right now up to this point. Fullback. Well, let me just go this way. I'm going to say two guys that are kind of still getting signed. A wide receiver, Jose Barbone from Temple University, and Darrell Johnson, an edge rusher from Liberty. Those two guys are part of these 10 guys. Now, I will say that when we signed Darrell Johnson, he was kind of the last guy signed so far today. He's the 8th player out of the 10 guys we have that are on Dane Brugler's top 300 players list. So we still get guys that should have been drafted possibly. Again, we don't know why they fell off. We don't know if there's this we got to see. We got to sort through these guys. They're not all going to make it. They're not all going to predict like, oh, this is a steal and undrafted. But 2 or 3 might, like last year, and then we can work on those guys going forward. Probably in the practice squad and other places.
You can see how we can hit on some of these
Peyton
undrafted guys.
Hendershot last year got Marquise Bell. Didn't play much. We got a couple of guys. The year before that, Tyler Coyle. Just you hear these names. They're running around. They're in practice squad. They're doing daily practices. They know our schemes and systems. They'll be part of this team. Some of these undrafted guys will make this team. Malik Davis.
Some of them might have to even contribute.
Malik Davis. I'm just saying these names are undrafted from last year. So those are the two guys I wanted to start off with. But let me go with the other guys in a little more detail. Those are the newest guys. There's not really much information on how much we signed them for. But this, Jerry Jones, he said it. I don't know if we have the quote, but Jerry Jones said something like, we're expected to sign almost 30 undrafted free agents today. The Cowboys are second most big spenders and undrafted behind the Eagles by like $1,000. So basically the Cowboys and Eagles are spending the most. The Eagles got Eli Ricks. The Cowboys got 10 guys and building this up to 20 or 30 more. So, 20 or 30 total guys. We'll see what happens. But undrafted free agents that have agreed to terms. I'm going to list them to you. Those two guys are on the list here. But just remember, guys, these prospects can pivot and change after agreeing to terms and join another team prior to the deal getting officially signed. So verbally is one thing, but you got to get that pen to paper. And that should happen tomorrow. Some of these guys may still be here. Most of them usually are. There might be a guy that drops off. And we'll definitely be adding more guys to this list. Last year, the Cowboys got almost, 19 or 20 undrafted guys. So again, it's going to be at least going up to 10 more. It's probably between 15 and 20 guys total at the end. Jerry Jones said 30. I don't know about that. So who did the Cowboys sign? Let's start off with the biggest signing of the undrafteds. And that to me is on defense. Once again, the Cowboys had a defensive-heavy draft, I think, even though we got a little more offense today. Out of the 5 guys, 3 were offense today in day 3. But overall, definitely more defensive-heavy, I think, than any of us would have thought, especially higher up in the draft.
Yeah, and also just based off of a lot of the comments that even the Cowboys made, like we figured they were leaning a little bit more offense. It seems like the draft, just the way that the Cowboys had their board, it fell defensively. Or
they're just going to give this Dan Quinn and let him build on just a defense here. And let's just get this thing one on defense and an okay offense, but an elite defense. Let's see. We'll see what happens. Let's see if we can get both things going. But Cowboys agreed on defense, guys, with the most productive FCS defensive player in 2021. Not last year, in 2021. Florida A&M edge rusher Isaiah Land. He lands in Dallas. This guy has, he has a punch kind of rip move that he does. He's known for. He was supposed to be drafted. He's in Dallas now. I feel bad for the guy because he was down about not getting drafted. But he was, I guess, he's happy as he can be going to the Cowboys. Just wish he was drafted, obviously, as his dream. Now, he won the Buck Buchanan Defensive Player of the Year award in 2021. He had 19 sacks and 25 and a half tackles for loss. Now he reunites in Dallas with who? One of our last year's undrafted free agents that made the team, Marquise Bell. Remember, they're both from Florida A&M, so the Rattlers. So again, one of the historically black college and universities. He's from the HBCU circuit there with the Texas A&M. I'm sorry, not Texas A&M, Florida A&M. Marquise Bell from last year. So, anyways, the point is this, guys. The way he reacted he was on the phone saying the Cowboys signed him to the undrafted free agent as an undrafted free agent. He was not smiling. He wasn't really crying. He was very upset that not with the Cowboys, but not getting drafted. Isaiah Land. He's a motivated. This guy, you can see in his face, he's now motivated to prove everybody wrong. Everybody wrong before him. He's a stud player. He was projected to be a stud player.
Yeah, but in that moment,
should have been drafted.
There wasn't really any happiness over becoming a Dallas Cowboy. It was more just still kind of reeling from the insult. I'm
of not being
drafted.
So
and you know what?
We want that kind of guy on our team.
The best seasoning is hunger. Hunger is the best seasoning. That's really what makes a meal really good. Because when you sit down and you're hungry, man, nothing ever tastes as good. You can put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in front of you, and that'll be the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich you ever had. So, I'm just saying that I hope hunger spices up.
Yes, motivates him, guys. Again, he's a beast. He's gonna play. He should be pretty. You should see him pop off the screen when you watch Isaiah Land, and he could be the next great HBCU player to wear the star. We got a lot of guys that are wearing it, and it's a long line of guys that have done this. From various HBCU university, colleges, and of course wearing the star in Dallas. Yep. Now the Cowboys also reached a contract agreement with undrafted Mississippi State edge defender, another defensive player here, Tyrus Wheat. Now again, this deal is a $20,000 signing bonus and a $180,000 guarantee. So he's going to get $200,000 no matter what happens for however long he's with the Cowboys for this undrafted rookie. Now remember that these two guys plus the linebacker that I talked about are the only three guys on defense the Cowboys signed of these 10 that are, of the 10 guys, 3 of them are on defense. Yeah. The rest of the guys are on offense. The other 7. Let me go through the offensive guys real quick that we signed so far as an undrafted free agent. Fullback. We'll start with offense, baby. Fullback. Make fullbacks great again, right? North Dakota, and North Dakota State has a fullback. I've not really talked about him, but he's been like one of the I think the second highest ranked fullback in this draft. His name is Hunter Lupke. All right, and he's from North Dakota State. He's agreed to terms with the Cowboys. Again, this just adds to we're at 10. We're trying to get to 20 with these undrafted. He was actually the guy that started today's undrafted free agent, so it was the fullback position there. We also got a tight end. You might know this guy or heard of him, guys. The Cowboys agreed to terms with versatile ex-Tennessee Volunteer tight end Princeton Fant. Sound familiar? Because you got Noah Fant, got over there in drafted by the Broncos. Now he's in Seattle. Got traded. Noah Fant, pretty good damn tight end out there. This tight end, his brother Princeton Fant, caught 22 passes for 241 yards and 3 touchdowns last year. But undrafted rookie. Did I say his brother? I'm saying his cousin is Noah Fant with the Seahawks now. So again, just saying 2 guys there from the same family in the NFL. We got a couple more of those guys here coming through. But another receiver we signed was David Durden from West Florida. I don't even know. I didn't know it was West Florida College out here. But again, former Boston Red Sox prospect. He's going to be drafted by the Red Sox in baseball. Dominated the competition in Division II last year. He's a Division II receiver. And he had 54 catches, 1,128 yards, and 13 touchdowns. I mean, it's like saying, hey, Dennis Houston, let's see what he can do. It's kind of like that kind of mindset, in my opinion, for David Durden. And another receiver, third receiver, that was the first receiver I discussed. Noah Fant's cousin is tight end. But the other receiver that they signed is Jalen Moreno Copper. It's a rookie from Fresno State. They're Deron Bland's old stomping grounds. He's 5'11" receiver, 172 pounds, so skinny. Not too tall, about a little below the 6 foot mark, but 172 pounds. That's skinny. I mean, Deuce is bigger than him. Yeah. And he caught 83 passes for 1,086 yards and 5 touchdowns last season in college there for Fresno State. He's supposed to be a playmaker after the catch, so keep that in mind as well. And I know we had that Jose Barton as well. He's another receiver we signed. Don't have much information on him yet, but we'll get all that tomorrow. The last 2 positions I want to discuss, or 2 players, offensive line. We did get 2 more guys inked, I guess you could say, or almost inked. Cowboys gave $220,000 guaranteed when this guy agreed to terms. Former Kansas offensive tackle Earl Bostic Jr. He's a converted tight end. And now he's made 25 starts at the left tackle in his final 2 college seasons there with Kansas. He's an athlete, but he has an upside developmental wise. You gotta work on him a little bit. So we'll see what happens with the Earl Bostic Jr. And then this guy's interesting here. I'm gonna say this last guy we got from the undrafted list, offensive lineman, and I guess he could play versatile, right? Because he's offensive lineman, guard, tackle. I don't know. TJ Bass from Oregon, guys, big guy. Undrafted rookie. He has starting experience at both left guard and left tackle. All right. He's expected to actually compete somewhere in that guard mix right there. I know we got a guy, Asim Richards, today. We'll talk about him.
It feels like we have 7 guys trying to compete at that
there's a lot of guys
guard position.
cross-training and competing for that left guard spot. But again, don't buy into that by the Joneses. They're going to say we undrafteds are the best ever, and we don't want to rely on undrafteds for too long unless they are like little Collins types or that kind of stuff like that are like true diamonds in the rough. So to get starting roles, to get rotational, all right. But again, starter at guard from an undrafted, that's an issue there, especially if we drafted a guy as a guard. And we'll talk about him in a little bit, but that guy should be starting over the undrafted guy. So right now, I will say one thing about TJ Bass from Oregon. He's only allowed one sack. One sack last year. He had 462 pass blocking snaps. I know that in the West out there, the competition's not too great comparatively.
It's still pretty good, though.
Still good. One sack allowed last year and 462 pass blocking snaps. We'll see how he plays into this. All these guys in the undrafted list. That's all 10 of those guys. Any quick comments on that? On any of those undrafted, those 10 guys? And, we'll be adding more to that. I'm sure the Cowboys, at least 5 to 10 more by tomorrow
night. Mr. Stewart did bring up a good point here, saying, I wish we'd stop trying to draft diamonds in the rough to just draft actual diamonds.
Again, and I know that's why they're diamonds in the rough. That's why they're diamonds in the rough, because they're at either undrafted or 6th rounder, 7th rounder, 4th rounder, 5th rounder guys. Yeah, you get some diamonds in the rough. We got a bunch of them. Remember Dalton Schultz. Remember Donovan Wilson. I mean, we keep going. There's a lot of guys. Dak Prescott. Those are the diamonds in the rough, and usually they usually don't pan out like to be full-time starters. So you got to remember, you got to take this with a grain of salt. You can't get we didn't get the best player. Who cares? I mean, the best player might not be the best player in the NFL or for our scheme team, whatever it may be. Keep that in mind.
When it comes to undrafted guys, you already have to manage your expectations. They're not first rounders here.
You're throwing 10, 20, 30 guys into your roster and just hoping that one of them, two of them, three of them get out. That's what every team does. We like to do that because we got McClay. He's damn good at doing that, getting some real diamonds in the rough, even if they're rotational diamonds in the rough. Even if they're solid practice squad guys. That's all they're meant to be. They're not meant to be superstar Hall of Fame guys. Please understand this, family. That's the way it is. Now, speaking of our draft, the actual draft, I'm not wasting time today.
I know.
You guys got to stop us. You guys got to stop us. You know how to do it. Drop the love from above. You know how to do it, guys, right? I mean, maybe you want to remind them. We got a lot of love tonight from you guys. Truly appreciate it. And we're still rolling here.
Yes, but the 4 ways to do it, guys, through the Cash App, Money Side, My Cowboys Family. You have the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family. The regular PayPal link, of course, and last but not least, the Streamlabs link. You saw Skeptical Fan flexing it earlier.
Yeah.
By the way, I just realized now, Mark Hosepian's Stream Boss is down to 60 points.
Damn,
so there you go.
That's one of the lowest we've seen it there. You see our 2023 Dallas Cowboys. The reason I'm showing that right there popping up on the screen, baby, because we had our draft.
Yes, we did.
And
maybe we had a draft. The Cowboys did something today,
right? You can take center stage here because we're going to talk about our draft picks. You see, day 1, Mozzie Smith. Day 2, Luke Schoonmaker and linebacker DeMarvion Overshown. And then day 3, rounds 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the 5 names there that you see. And again, if you guys don't know, you got to know. Pick 129. He's an edge, but he's actually going to be playing tackle. I'll explain in a little bit. Viliami Fehoko. All right, from San Jose State. Then pick 169. Offensive tackle in the NFL. I mean, in college with North Carolina. But also is going to be trending to play guard here, guys. For the Cowboys, Asim Richards from North Carolina. Pick 178, cornerback. Eric Scott Jr., which we traded up to get. We didn't trade up. We just traded to get him. I'll explain how we got him. Cornerback from, I think, Southern Mississippi. Smaller school. We'll talk about him in a minute. That's a Dan Quinn pick, and I'll explain why. And then I think the jewel of the draft here in the third day here, and again, you guys can vote on that. We never went over the voting in the poll today.
Shortly.
Yeah, so you can see Deuce Vaughn, running back from Kansas State. I mean, like I said, 5'5", 176, 179, whatever. But unbelievable talent. Kind of like Darren Sproles styled.
Who is actually his mentor, by the way.
We're going to get into all that in a minute. And then 244, the last pick of our of our actual draft here in the 7th round, wide receiver Jalen Brooks, another small school player there. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But I do want to say, when the Cowboys yesterday ended the press conference, there was, and I know we're going to go into this a little more later on at the end of this stream, but McCarthy was serious about including a couple of our guys here that we got with we attained, or I'll say selected, but we attained them with our draft picks.
Yeah, so basically the like Steven had said earlier, exactly, the Brandon Cooks move, the Gilmore move, the Hankins move, the Cowboys are counting that as part of their draft plans, basically.
McCarthy was saying it yesterday. Well, you'll touch on that a little later, but he was serious about including Brandon Cooks on the draft sheet. Again, it looks better. I know it looks better, but there is reality in this that I agree with, where you include some of your draft capital to see what you got from that. Got Amari Cooper with a first rounder? All right, that counts. Got Brandon Cooks with a fifth rounder, pick 161. I'll take that. That's Brandon Cooks. Yeah. 176, we traded that. Got Stephon Gilmore. Last year in October, before the trade deadline, we traded the Vegas Raiders for Jonathan Hankins. We traded away our 204th pick, sixth rounder. That counts as a draft. Again, he literally had a balled up cheat sheet that he had thrown away, I guess, or crumpled up, and he gave it to some of the media people, and they posted this. So again, guys, after the draft last night, so just interesting. Again, the Cowboys had a plan here, and utilizing these traded picks are part of the combination.
To me, I think this helps also clarify why maybe we went so defensively in this draft and a bit of a surprise move. You know what I mean? Like, realistically speaking, we really only had one highly ranked offensive move, which is our second round pick with Schoonmaker.
Yeah, Schoonmaker. Just SK sound.
So there we go. So even I was surprised at the way that ended up working out, and I'm not even still sure how to feel about him in the second pick. I'm just saying, like, we'll get into that more, but the point is that you can see how these guys directly contributed to everything that ended up happening in days 1, 2, and 3. So
yeah, especially these three guys are day 3. These three guys in yellow. That's our day 3 picks in a way. Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore, and John. That's a steal. And then all three guys are steals. And then you look at some of the misses or some of the chances in our draft, but you put them together, you understand why we made some of these moves. At the same time, we still got 2 out of these 3 guys, baby, are defensive players.
Yeah.
So we still went defense heavy with traded picks, and we went defense heavy in the offseason and free agent moves with our own guys, and we went heavy in the draft. Everyone anybody thought when it comes to defensive players.
Yeah. So
defense. This is about Dan Quinn taking over and having an elite defense. Coaching next year has taken over yet, but also an elite defense this year, and let the offense play off of what the defense. Our identity is the defense. I said this day 1 and day 2, and I'm going to say this day 3. Defense. About Dan
definitely a
effing
philosophy
Quinn.
Change from our front office. So.
It is. So, and you keep looking at this thing, and I'm going to look at some of the athleticism because again, we got fast, athletic guys. We're going to break it down. This overall draft, though, is very solid for the relative athletic score grouping. All right, only one player was below average. All right, and that was Deuce Vaughn. Believe it or not, when it comes to athleticism at running back, at the running back position, because of his height, because of his weight. Keep that in mind, guys. So basically, everybody else on this list here: Schoonmaker, Mozzie Smith, Overshown, and Eric Scott. Even Eric Scott, extremely elite athletic players in the NFL, and the rest were above average. Viliami Fehoko, Asim Richards, and Jalen Brooks. All those 3 guys were at above average numbers, athletically speaking. And again, I always say this: 2 fifth rounders traded in March for receiver Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore. We talked about that, but the point here, guys, the Cowboys wanted to make sure that we know the defense. This is to me what the identity is on defense, but on offense, the Cowboys are trying to basically. They're hammering their ability to run the ball on offense. Mm-hmm. It seems like with a couple offensive linemen, a tight end that can block, and then they're looking at. I guess what you're saying, one side is of the trenches on offense and getting the run, and then stopping the run is a lot of. You can see that throughout here with Mozzie Smith, with Fehoko, just saying, guys, and a couple of these other, Jonathan Hankins. You can say, to help stop the run. Major, kind of look there, when you're seeing what the Cowboys are trying to do. So these were the top picks. You would say they went defense. The Marion Overshown, who's a run stopper type guy. So you're seeing guys here that are obviously going to be playing heavy defensive snaps and rotations, whatever it may be. But it's about defense with our top day 1 and day 2 picks.
Yeah,
it's 2 defense, 1 tight end that blocks. Those premium picks is to shore up the run game on offense and the run stop on defense. That's what it shows me on this draft here, guys. With, you adding a running back in the back end there, you sprinkle in some trait guys, some rare traits. You see them. We talked about some of these guys at the top of the list there. But again, the most intriguing picks, probably Mozzie Smith, Schoonmaker. These are the ones that they gotta hit. They gotta hit these two, especially with the reasoning they're giving us for it. So again, both these guys, Mozzie and Luke Schoonmaker, have a very high floor. They should be useful players no matter what happens. But the Cowboys should be able to get more out of them than they're expected. That'd be bonus. Now, I think they're really good, fitting in good. I think they're going to fit the schemes right, but we'll have to see what the Cowboys are planning to do, if it's going to fit Mozzie, Luke Schoonmaker, and the rest of these guys. So, today, what happened? You see there, go past Mozzie, Schoonmaker, and Overshown. Today's first pick for the Cowboys at 129, defensive edge, but he's really a defensive tackle for the Cowboys. San Jose State defensive edge rusher, defensive tackle, Viliami Fehoko. He's in the 4th round. 3 defenders now, at this point, 3 defenders with the first 4 picks. Fehoko totaled 69 tackles, 19 for loss, with 9 sacks, 2 forced fumbles in 2022. Now, I don't know if well, I think the nickname is Junior Fehoko too, but he was the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year in 2022. He finished his career there with 23 sacks, 47 tackles for loss. But it is a crowded defensive edge grouping. Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, and now you can say Chauncey Golston, and now you got a Chauncey Golston replacement possibly here with Viliami Fehoko. At this point, remember the Eagles added in the 4th round. What was it? Ringo, whatever his name is, a cornerback from Georgia, and then they added DeAndre Swift in the trade in the 4th round. The Eagles. Well, we got Junior Fehoko. So again, or Viliami Fehoko.
Yeah, so and Thomas Garrett saying it in the chat, he's actually a cousin to Vita Vea, but no relation to our own current Simi Fehoko.
And he was asked that, and I think you have that in the quotes. But Dan Quinn, guys, now some people did not like this pick. I was kind of confused about this before we heard him going to defensive tackle. But Dan Quinn, we some people have complained about Dan Quinn in the sense of he stands on the table. And it's a saying. It's a saying now. He's beaten the table to get Nashawn Wright in the past and others in the past, right? Is this another one of these moves? We know he did that with Demarion Overshown or Mozzie Smith and now Fehoko. Is this an overkill with giving the coaches too much over the scouting department? That's one thing I've been saying. Yes, Will McClay lays it all out. But the coaches in the front office make the decisions, not Will McClay. So why are we giving up the control to the coaches? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Hey, look, it is a fair assessment to say, but you got to say the whole story because Dan Quinn stood up for guys like Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, Doron Bland. Is Quinn perfect? Is McClay perfect? Of course not, guys. But they hit a lot more than they missed. That's facts. If you have a problem with anything else, that's on the front office / the coach that might have picked some of those players. Keep that in mind. I just want to throw it out there. But I still was a little bit flabbergasted. Why did we pick up this Junior Fehoko guy, at the 129 pick in the 4th round? He scored only a 5.34 when it came to his athletic abilities, guys. A little above average in the RAS out of 10. That ranked him 763 out of 1,634 defensive edge rushers since 1987. But the key is he's not going to be an edge rusher. His weight, 276 pounds. He's 6'3", almost 6'4". He's elite in the weight size for an edge, which means he's going to fit great inside. But he still has to put up a little bit of weight and to play that 3-tech situation, which I believe is a Chauncey Golston look, outside-inside kind of guy, 6'3", 276. He had 9 sacks, 19 tackles for loss. He's viewed as a kind of player that can add, if he can add weight, he can become a solid 3-tech, which pushes off Neville Gallimore type.
I have a feeling that you're going to see him really start to take off after next year, just because this year is going to be mainly just like a conditioning / bulking year for him. You know what I mean? Like, he'll have to gain the 15-ish pounds that we kind of want him to gain. And obviously, it's still going to be good for him. I'm just saying that don't expect him to, really start taking off, like I said, until next year. So, just throwing that out there.
And I do want to say that because he's moving to a 3-tech, the Cowboys want to eventually get that. I am better with. Put pressure on Osa. Get Neville Gallimore the hell out of here. I'm just saying this is what his pickup means to me. All right, you see Luke Schoonmaker. He's the Dalton Schultz replacement. Overshown could be the eventual curse takeover guy. And then, or Donovan Wilson type of mixture there. But then now you're looking at another guy here with Fehoko. He's the Chauncey Golston interim guy right now, I think, and could push Neville Gallimore off of this team. Or Chauncey Golston. So we'll see how this goes if he can add that weight. Here's the key, guys. It's about the Cowboys coaches. Cowboys assistant D-line coach, Sheriff Floyd, one of our guys here, who's an assistant at D-line with Aiden Dirty and others, and of course Dan Quinn himself. He said today on the draft show that defensive lineman Junior Fehoko, or Viliami Fehoko, a 4th round pick, will be adding weight and is going to slide to the 3 tech. This is confirmed from the coaching staff. So again, Fehoko's physicality and his motor is what the Cowboy front office likes. He measured 6'3", 276, like we said, at the combine with 33-inch arms. And again, guys, he said that the Cowboys' defensive line focus will shift from penetrating to the backfield to pushing the offensive line back into the backfield. So now you can understand, guys, it's not about breaking through the line of scrimmage now as much as it is pushing the whole line of scrimmage into the running back's face, into the quarterback's face. And we'll find ways to get around that. When Micah slips out or we get an overshown blitzing from the other side, that's the plan going forward. We got a little preview there on how we're going to use some of these draft picks and how we're going to switch up a couple of things on this defensive scheme. No more penetrating. It's about pushing. Maybe it's about push. Nope, it's not breaking on through there. It's about pushing on through and making sure that you disrupt the backfield, whether it's a pass or a run. At least we got a little inkling there of what's going on.
You keep trying to push your way through. Eventually something will break through. Pop.
So you guys feel me here now? That is the situation with Fehoko. When you look at him, guys, again, height. He's in his. I hate saying edge because he's not going to be an edge rusher per se, but he's 72nd percentile. His weight is 92nd percentile. He's bigger edge rusher, but he's not going to really. He's a 3-4 edge. That's really a 5 tech, a 3 tech. So that's what we're going to be using him as. Arm length is a 65 percentile, which is good inside. He's going to be able to get off of blocks. Hand size, 17th percentile, not big hands. 66 in the 40-yard dash, 58th in the 20-yard dash percentile wise. And you keep looking at this when it comes to the reason I think the Cowboys really, really, really wanted to, do kind of bring him to Dallas is because of his great production he had last year. Although again, I gotta say, it's the competition which bothers me with Fehoko. Yeah, it's great numbers. But I'm not going to hang my hat on that because that's against lesser competition. His pass rush grade, 84th percentile. Fantastic. Pass rush grade on true pass rush is 83rd percentile. Pass rush grade when play action, 89th percentile. How about his pass rush win rate? 89th percentile. Run defense grade, 99th percentile. Run stop percentage, 95th percentile. At edge or inside, he's looking on. We got this guy to stop the run, to help Mozzie Smith stop the run. This is not about getting to the quarterback and sacking him as an edge rusher. This is about stopping the run inside and adding another guy that maybe pushes Neville Gallimore and others off this and Chauncey Golston's. We'll see what happens. They got to work on it. We got to see let the best guy win, and the guy with the biggest upsides for the future, they'll make the team too. We'll see what happens. So
exactly.
Now I know that you have the kind of quotes here from Fehoko today. So he did say some things here about when he visited the Cowboys and how he felt visiting the Star.
Yeah, he said some of the things that stood out to him when he came to his visit were the culture and the brotherhood here in Dallas, saying, quote, "Walking around with the staff and conversation with the coaches, I can tell that the Dallas Cowboys are all about winning." So along with that, the Cowboys did straight up tell him that, he is going to have to beef up a little bit in order for him to play tackle in some of the situations. So I saw someone in the chat ask, is Fehoko a project? He's not a project, but he does, again, when you get drafted in the 4th round, he's not a project, but he needs some work. So he will be, like I said, he will be able to get some play time. I just think that we're not going to really see him shine as much until maybe later on into the season. Although, hey, who knows? Maybe he'll bulk up enough, throughout these next 2-3 months, by the time the training camp kicks off, that, he is heavy enough to be able to start, throwing his weight around in that sense. So just throwing that out there. Apparently, like I said, you mentioned this already, but
Excuse me.
Fehoko did verify, the Cowboys straight up told him that they kind of want a 50-50 split on him playing edge and tackle. So, and the teams that were interested in him, by the way, it wasn't just us, right? The Titans and the Patriots also had him in for visits.
Now, I know he had some video. It wasn't him the video. No, it was a couple guys. No, he didn't have video. It was the other guy, Eric, the other guy, Eric Scott. I'll talk about him later. I got confused for a second, but as you said, he had other guys visiting, but they want a 50-50 him. Inside, outside. I don't know if you said that already.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I just said that.
I walked. I'm sorry, baby. I was fixing something.
It's okay. Real quick, something else that he kind of mentioned as well.
You guys mentioned it too.
In the 49 games that he played with San Jose State, he took snaps at linebacker, defensive tackle, and slot cornerback. So I think that just goes to show the range
Can you imagine a
of his skills and physical abilities.
276-pound guy playing slot corner. Not happening in the NFL.
I'm assuming maybe the corner days were like in his freshman year when maybe he don't weigh as much.
No, I'm thinking it probably just was some kind of scheme switch. They put him outside and he was in the corner for a snap. But I he's not going to be covering slot corners.
And like I said, one of the final things that he commented on was he made it clear, no relation to Viliami Fehoko. He said that he has heard of him, but he doesn't obviously know him personally. So, and his cousin Vita Vea did give him a little bit of advice, saying, quote, not too much, but he's a busy man. He's working every day. When I got to the combine, he dropped some advice on me that he doesn't have to say much to me. He's already set the standard for my family and the Polynesian culture.
Nice. Love it. And, hey, that's true. Vita Vea is really, him and other guys from the Polynesian culture have really dominated in the NFL, especially inside, in the big boy roles. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And I do want to say that Fehoko actually is tweeting back and forth with Junior Fehoko. His nickname is Junior, but Viliami Fehoko is his full real name.
Yeah.
Junior Fehoko, Viliami Fehoko. They've been DMing or whatever on Twitter. You can see their posts. They've been posting back and forth because he wants to find out. Viliami Fehoko on our Cowboy wants to find out if they're related way back when.
Again, you know what's actually funny? Completely unrelated. I did find out that I am related to someone who has the same last name as me. We went in high school. We made jokes about it. We're like, we maybe are related. And then we find out, we actually were like distantly related because my great-grandfather got around and apparently so did his. just saying. So,
well,
anyway,
again,
saying that it could happen. It could be possible.
Yeah, I mean, Fehoko is trying to find out. He's like, I want to find out if we connect way back. I want to ask if my dad, knows the connection, if there's a connection. But the name seems to, he still feels that that's a name that's going to be connected somewhere down in the lineage. Well, with each other. They're probably some kind of distant relatives, like you were saying with your buddy. So, again, Fehoko, you hear him, you see him, you feel him. That's what he's about. Now, let's move to the next guy. All right? That's pick 169. Offensive tackle in the NFL, offensive guard, probably with the Cowboys, Asim Richards. But before I get to him, guys, last night, the Cowboys said after the draft, after the second and third round picks, they considered addressing the offensive line. And they tried to, but the guys weren't there on those picks. You see Luke Schoonmaker and the Marvin Overshown. So they did make a comment last night, and I'm just throwing this in there because they said they were looking maybe Saturday to make a splash at the offensive line side of things. And they did say also last night that they still plan to cross-train Terrence Steele and Josh Ball at the guard and tackle spot in hopes of getting the best 5 guys on the field. And that's per Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy. And I'm also hearing Tyler Smith's going to play some guard as well, as far as practicing there. So, best 5, we'll see what happens. So, how do we address this today? Well, Asim Richards, North Carolina, offensive tackle. We drafted him with the 169th overall pick in the 5th round of this draft, guys. Asim Richards, again, guys, everyone's saying this across the board. He's a conversion guy. He's a guy that's going to play tackle. He's moving to guard in the NFL. It's just the way it is, the way his play style is. It's just he's going to be the best in the NFL at guard. Exactly what we need, right? So you look at his numbers, his measurables: 6'4", 309 pounds at the combine, right? He has 34-inch arms, 10-inch hands, 82 and 3/4 inch wingspan, huge, right? Good athlete as well. Ended his career in North Carolina with 34 straight starts. Senior Bowl participant, did well at the Senior Bowl. Actually, I did notice him. He had the powder blue North Carolina uniform, but I did notice him there as one of the guys as well I liked. Didn't talk much about him because we didn't know when the pick was going to come, but Tyler Smith type player. He's a mauler. He's a big guy. He's energetic and he's powerful. Everybody projects him to start on the inside, meaning guard, not tackle.
Okay.
And the key is he was kind of slow moving in his career, but last year, guys, he turned a corner. Most analysts say that they see that Asim Richards turned a corner. He doesn't have the full college tape, that's going to be great. The last year was unbelievably better.
You can see
it, guys. You can see his versatile body in the on the offensive line, pretty much anywhere, at tackle or guard. He is versatile. He is athletic, and he turned a corner last year in college. At least that's what most people are saying.
less of a diamond in the rough, and it seems like more of an unpolished diamond.
Yeah.
As far as like using some of the terminology, right? Because it sounds like he's just a little bit raw, rough around the edges, right? Needs a little bit of coaching, development.
And that's where Mike Soliari, we don't know much about this guy yet with us here, how he's going to do things with us, but he spoke today on this, and we'll go to that in a minute. But he spoke, and it's interesting to see, how the Cowboys are going to do things on the offensive line. Now, Cowboys have taken at least one offensive lineman in 6 straight drafts and 12 offensive linemen in the last 15 drafts. Now, I'm talking about undrafted in the actual draft. Now, Asim Richards started 14 games at left tackle last year, and he also in his college career appeared at left guard. That's what we like to hear, right? But when you look at the breakdown, 37 games he started 37 games at left tackle. He started 1 game at left guard.
Okay.
So again, not much practice there. Footage as far as him on the field at left guard, but when you look at him, guys, and you look at the film, even in that game, you can see when he plays in the phone booth, which is in the guard position, basically, and he's got guys to his left and to his right. That's where he plays much better than in open space as a tackle.
I mean, team need had to be a factor as well. So,
guard.
It's going to be nice to see him, get a little more play time at guard, but also, the Cowboys are still doing some very typical Cowboy things as far as getting players that are versatile and can do more than one thing for you. He's just a left side guy, sounds like.
Exactly. So again, left side guy, tackle, or we know he's going to be playing guard a lot, but they're going to.
I'm saying depth is always important at all spots.
Of course, exactly. So again, listen, in a phone booth, in a smaller spot, at the guard spot, I like him better. He's going to have to take his lumps and get a little practice. He's not going to necessarily start this year, so you got to keep it all connected. I think Tyler Smith will play in that guard spot, and then he'll be the backup to Tyler Smith. For now, and we'll see how that translates through the offseason, through the training camp and everything. But if you dedicate him to left guard, let him take his lumps, let him learn his way, and then he gets better. By next year, we'll know more, and he's ready to go. He has very high football IQ, and he has a motor in the sense of he plays to the end of the play. He plays beyond the second level. He goes down the field, starts blocking cornerbacks and safeties. So I'm just saying, the guy can do his thing out there. Just we'll see if he's turned that corner for good here coming to the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. Again, athletic guy, 7.48 out of 10. But he puts him at 360 out of 1,423 offensive guards since 1987. When it comes to athletic ability, his best things were speed, and broad jump. All right? And so good stuff there from him. He also, listen.
So I was going to say, something else that is still following that trend, the last 2 years or so, speed has been one of the top metrics across the board from all our guys.
Yeah.
Still continuing that trend because speed is one of the few things that I heard consistently throughout day 3.
And that means offense,
as far as the players we got.
Defense, running back, safety, kicker. I don't care. He wants speed.
Yeah. So if you have the choice between 2 guys and they're more or less the same, go with the faster one.
Asim Richards, guys, he played 1,049 snaps at left tackle last year, allowed only 3 sacks. That's pretty good. Again, in a spot where he's not the best at. Keep that in mind at the tackle spot there. So he had 34 consecutive games to finish his college career. McCarthy, just to throw in the offensive line situation here, McCarthy became a head coach when he first started coaching. He was offensive lineman minded, right? A tight end, offensive line. Since he joined the Cowboys, we've taken 31 players in the draft with three more still to, at this point we had 3 more to still draft or 4 more to get. Right now, at this point of the draft here, when we got Asim Richards. Since McCarthy's been here, we had 20 defensive players drafted and only 11 on offense under McCarthy. So just say, and again, I know we went another defensive player after that, and then 2 more offense. So really, we have 13 players to 21 defensive players and 13 offensive players under McCarthy, which is very strange because he goes all about the offense. And we got Dan Quinn. Again, that should tell you something. That should tell you something about where the Cowboys are probably tending to go with this situation. So again, I do want to say here, as you can see there, Asim Richards, 169. He's a physical run blocker, nasty streak, glass eater type, like Tyler Smith. He flashes strong hands in the running game. Once he has you locked up, a lot of nice reps for him, driving defenders vertically or washing them down the line of scrimmage laterally. You can see this over and over again against Clemson edge Miles Murphy. Asim Richards, active hands. All right, he fits and reestablishes the blocking situation. Again, if he loses the grip, he can reestablish that. It loves the way he competes to displace defenders out the gaps, out the holes. He neutralizes the linebackers in the second level by climbing off of double teams. He's double team blocking with the center, double team blocking with the tackle, and then he'll let release to go to the second level. Does a good job of that as well, climbing in the run game. Pass protection, he at the tackle, he uses arm length to keep defenders at a distance when he throws punches. And I don't mean like an actual punch. It's an actual move, a jab move there. When he does that with the right timing, he makes it difficult for the smaller defender to get into his frame. He has a kind of a decent set of different pass blocking sets that he has there. And again, he will short set and take the air out of pass rushers when he jams them. Now, he does not have explosive burst out of his stance. He's not going to go just burst down the field. That's one thing that you can see some rushed reps, getting out of an overset versus these kinds of situations. Anyways, the point is, solid guy to develop and work on. Now, I know that there are some comments that were made by Soliari, guys, our offensive line coach, about Asim Richards. Here's what he said, guys, on the draft show. Quote, he's an ascending player. He's young. He's really excited about this addition. I'm sorry, he said, he's young, and I'm really excited about this addition. Again, when they asked him, he said the Cowboys see him as a guard tackle option. Okay. He said, quote, he's a smart young man. He wouldn't have trouble moving left to right if they needed to. Keep that in mind. Soliari, offensive line coach, confirmed that the Cowboys view him, with this as a guard first, tackle a little bit there. But
basic guard first, tackle second.
Yeah, as a backup. Yeah, but they want to work him at both. He's going to get a lot of work at left guard, is my guess, in the summer, in the OTAs and in the training camp. And he'll have tackle flexibility. You see him maybe playing right tackle a little bit in case Tyron Smith goes down. Tyler Smith moves the guard. Maybe you see him play a little tackle spot there in the practice sessions for the development of Asim Richards. But offensive line coach Mike Soliari said this about Tyler Smith. Quote, this offseason, we're going to work him at tackle. So keep that in mind. The end result for Tyler Smith, eventually, whether it's this year, next year, the year after, he's going to play tackle full time. Tyler Smith. Mike Soliari said this on the Cowboys website today about Tyler Smith himself. Not our rookie now, Tyler Smith. Quote, we're going to get the best 5 guys on the field. So again, it sounds like Tyler Smith could move back to the guard, but Soliari said also is to work him at tackle, like we said. So Tyler Smith's going to work at tackle. But it sounds like they're going to get the best 5 out there.
If we're actually trying to get our best 5 out there, that means that we're going to have to do a little bit of offensive lineman shuffle, right? And get certain guys at the right spot where they need to be.
Yep, and that is going to be, that at least makes you feel a little better about how we're utilizing this player. I mean, again, not going to really expect him to start, but that means I think it's going to be Tyron Smith at left tackle. Then you're going to see Tyler Smith at left guard, Biadasz at center, right guard, Zach Martin, and right tackle, eventually Terrence Steele. We'll see how that goes.
Crossed, right?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes going forward from that. But again, that's going to be, I think, the hopeful starting 5 to get your best 5 out there on the field. But Asim Richards also spoke himself. We heard from the big man himself, guys. He thanked the Senior Bowl. Why? Because they showcased his versatility.
Exactly. And obviously that was a factor, right? He said, quote, I've been playing left tackle my whole career at UNC. When I was able to step into that right guard role and that left guard role, that was just a boost for my value. And honestly, that alone could be the only reason we were even talking about him being a Dallas Cowboy. Because without that film and that tape, Cowboys might have never seen his potential there. So just throwing that out there. So Asim Richards is actually from the Philly area. So he's a homegrown Philly.
Boo.
But now he's a Dallas Cowboy. He actually, said that his family is actually mainly rabid Eagle fans, and he specifically used those words.
They probably have rabies.
He wants to know, though, now that they're embracing this new football philosophy, right? This Dallas Cowboy mentality. Are we going to see some conversions happening within that household? He said, it's looking like that. I grew up in Philly, grew up an Eagles fan, but I knew coming into this that Dallas would be a possibility, and I'm all into Dallas now.
Yeah, they asked him about his brother because his brother is a big-time fan, and they said, do you think how does he feel about this? Are they going to, are they going to stay Eagle fans? He goes, no. they're coming to Dallas. They're Dallas fans.
I love that.
And he also, another thing that I remember him saying, that he modeled himself and watches a lot of Tyron Smith films. So, again, nice. Good connection there. So, that's the wrap up. That's the wrap up on Asim Richards. So you see, there's still 3 names on this list.
Yes. So real quick, baby.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna hit the bathroom real quick.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. So that I know.
All right. So I'll do this. All right.
I know. I'll be back. I need a commercial break. I'm sorry.
Commercial break it is. So the Cowboys made a move up the draft board today to get an extra pick. Now they didn't move. Actually, let me rephrase that. They didn't move up. They didn't. We had again. That was you can see here again. I show it to you guys. We're at Asim Richards. That's already. Fehoko is the 4th rounder. Richards the 5th rounder. Then we got 2 6th rounders there at 178. And then we have our own 212 and 244. But where's that 178 pick? Eric Scott Jr. Well, the Cowboys traded to get to that spot there. I think it was the first pick of the 6th round. The Cowboys gave the Kansas City Chiefs a 2024, next year's 5th round pick. And again, the expectation is going to be a late 5th round pick if we do well this year. That's the hope. And we got back this 178th pick overall in this draft, the first pick of the 6th round from the Chiefs. So, why did the Cowboys do it? Well, they obviously wanted to draft this cornerback from Southern Miss, Eric Scott. All right, he's 6 feet, 197, and he was taken at 178. First pick of the 6th round. Why is that? Well, I believe the Cowboys are going to do the similar thing you see with the Eagles doing this with DeAndre Swift, where they're going to bank on the comp pick. Now, that's the comp pick from DeAndre Swift the Eagles are banking on in 2025. What I'm talking about is it's more about the comp picks we're going to get in 2024. We just gave up a 5th rounder. We're going to get a 5th rounder back with Dalton Schultz or Connor McGovern. The Cowboys know this. We know this. I know this. We're going to get at least a 5th rounder, maybe 2 5th rounders in the comp picks. When you look at that, beginning of the 6th, and next year, end of the 5th. I'm talking about the last couple of spots on that 5th round. You're looking at about, a small drop off there when you add the comp pick back in. So, yeah, we dropped off about 20 spots, right? We lost 20 spots if we get the comp pick, when it comes to our draft pick and then getting at the end. But I'm just saying, when we pick now, we're going to get back that pick to kind of help us. Maybe we lose 6 or 7 spots from our actual pick when it comes to the compensation pick in 2024. And then we gave up this year's, we got a 6th round pick this year. And again, that's what it's about, making up that pick. The Cowboys, for whatever reason, really wanted this guy. And I'll tell you why. It's a Dan Quinn pick. But they wanted this pick. Dan Quinn wanted this guy so badly that we traded away basically next year's 5th round pick, but we're going to get back a comp pick to replace that 5th round pick, which again, our basic pick, our 5th round pick in 2024, it's going to be at the end of the draft, guys. If we make the playoffs, it's going to be 21st, 22nd each round, and so you're looking at the back end.
Honestly, hoping it is.
I'm just saying, yeah. I mean, if you go back 10 or 12 spots past that, that's where we're going to get our comp pick back. We're going to drop 10 spots at most, probably, in this deal next year. Yeah, we would have 2 picks, but the Cowboys wanted to spread it out to this year. They wanted this guy badly. Now, let's talk about Eric Scott. And I'll put him back here, maybe, since you're in the house again. They can see they don't want to see me. But Eric Scott, guys, he's long, he's rangy, he's a stout vertical and defender. He has great wingspan, 80 and 1/8 for a cornerback. He has 2 pick sixes last year in college. But he's very raw. He has a developmental need still, hence why he's a late rounder. We know that everybody should know. Everybody here is developmental. There's no superstars here. But this late in the draft, this is a Dan Quinn pick, or is it a John Fossil pick? Well, I say both. Because, Overshown is already both a special teams and defensive pick.
Yes.
Same thing here with Eric Scott, although I hate banking on special teams, so to speak, right? So the point here is, guys, because of the length is why it's a Dan Quinn pick, and of course the special teams play is fantastic, so that's why it's a Fossil pick. Julius Brents, the cornerback. Joey Porter Jr., the guy we all wanted to draft there, right? Those are the only 2 corners in this draft class that has a wider wingspan than Eric Scott Jr. Only 3 cornerbacks in this draft break the 80-inch plateau. And again, he's an 80 and 1/8 inch wingspan. Big wingspan as a physical cornerback. Now, he was not on the list. Again, there's a lot of lists out there, guys. Top 200, top 300 guys.
Yeah.
He was not on many of these lists, so he's kind of an unknown guy. Why don't we trade up for him, right? Mainly, he's going to be used as an outside cornerback. So think of Kelvin Joseph and Nashawn Wright. More of a Nashawn Wright kind of pick, but where it should have been done right. which would have been the 6th round, not the 3rd round with Deshaun Wright. Dan Quinn, that's on you. But either way, you're looking at Eric Scott now, who's now being picked at the beginning of the 6th rounder as an outside corner. He's going to give pressure to guys like Deshaun Wright and Kelvin Joseph, just the way it's going to be. He's not going to start, but that's why he's going to put pressure on these guys if he can develop faster than expected. So again, he was also he was a 30-visit player. A 30-visit guy, Eric Scott
So we
Jr.
actually took the time to officially bring him out from the limited guys that we're able to see.
Major interest for this guy from the Cowboys.
Honestly, the part that's more confusing about him is the fact that we purposely made a move to trade up to grab him. That to me means one of two things. One, he must have been rated really highly on their board somehow and like slipped past. And they just wanted to be extra sure they got him, or two, all of that, but also someone else must have been interested and we're going to grab him.
I agree.
By the time that if he fell to the Cowboys.
The Cowboys had to know someone was going to
speculate on what team it was.
The Cowboys will, we're not going to, but again, it's probably somebody right in front of me. Actually, you can't speculate. I'll let you know in a minute. I know how you can speculate.
Go ahead and percolate on
He was underrated all year. That's just the way it is. Obviously, he's still underrated. But he had an awesome week. At the Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, and then he had the Pro Day, 39.5-inch vertical. He had 11-foot 1-inch broad jump. His 40 time was not very good, guys. It was a 4.71 as a corner. That's not good. He's going to get burned. But he said he pulled his quad on his Pro Day when he did his numbers.
Okay.
Then he ran again the 40 at the Exos Center in Arizona before his Pro Day. I'm sorry, that was before he ran his Pro Day. He did his Pro Day, he pulled the quad, but before his Pro Day, he ran the 40 in 4.42.
Okay. So basically, he's trying to say that he was a little banged up and that, the Pro Day number is not reflective of his actual regular
we don't know if that quad's going to pop up again. Those soft tissue injuries go.
Even if we split the difference and put his number somewhere in the middle, that's still...
No, it's a major difference. It's a major difference. But remember, guys, injured with the quad and ran a 4.71, that's fantastic. And then when healthy, 4.42. He said his quad is now 110% healthy and is not an issue. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. The key is he's a physical press outside corner that presses, physical, and has a lot of room to improve. He was drafted, of course, pick 178, round 6, first one of the 6th round. He had an 8.69 on his athletic score out of 10. That ranked him 293 out of 2,222 cornerbacks since 1987 in these scouting combines. Yeah. And guys, remember this one thing. And a lot of people got mad about this pick. I'm kind of confused about it too. Like you said, though, I think you answered that question. The confusion of why did we trade up for him? We knew someone was going to get him.
Confusing part. You know what I mean? The 6th round pick. Having it be a guy that we didn't exactly expect is not all that surprising, right?
Exactly.
But the fact that the Cowboys actively made a move to get him, that's what I'm saying. That shows a level of interest more than I think what most of us anticipated.
If you look at the teams that were coming up on the draft, I mean, Tampa, I'm not sure where they were, but New Orleans, Indianapolis, Minnesota, all these teams are definitely, so with the Buccaneers, all in front of us. And we jumped all these teams. Why? Because these are the teams that were also interested in him.
Okay.
Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Indianapolis, and Minnesota. So that could be a reason why. I think you'll touch on that a little later. I just want to say one little fun fact about getting this guy right here, Eric Scott Jr., cornerback from Southern Mississippi.
There you go.
6'1", 204 pounds is what he's listed as right now. And again, elite on the vertical, broad jump, and his body makeup, right? But the fact I want to bring up is since 2016, no team has produced more starters or years as a starter among round 6 or round 7 defensive backs, meaning corners and safeties, than our Dallas Cowboys. And that's what this guy is right here. You see him, right? My finger's sticking out. So Eric Scott Jr., guys, is a 6th rounder. You go back to 2016, Anthony Brown. He's started 4 years with the Cowboys. 2017, Xavier Woods, we got him in the, what was it? We got him, I think, in the 6th round too, right? Both these guys we got in the 6th round. Xavier Woods, I think he had a lot of years as a starter, I think, with us here. And then Donovan Wilson had 2 years as a starter with us. Just saying, guys, these guys, we have the most quality starts, you can say, quality time as a starter from 6th and 7th round defensive back. I'm not saying that's good, but it means that it's, we're able to, kind of see, he should be depth, and that's where he should stay. He should be depth, and we worked up. A lot of these guys you're hearing, Xavier Woods, Donovan Wilson, Anthony Brown, they were just thrown into the mix immediately. Like other than Anthony Woods in the middle of that year, everybody else was basically a starter or had to bring up starting qualities and starting rotation almost right into their rookie years. even though, we want to see Eric Scott do as much as he can, this is going to be a learning year for him. Maybe he'll have a better developmental foundational stage here going forward into his next couple of years with the Cowboys and under Dan Quinn, DQ. So I know that he said some things today. And the biggest thing to me was that he worked out in Arizona with Mozzie Smith and DeMarion Overshown. Of course,
what a coincidence.
Day 1 and day 2 draft picks there. And this was doing the pre-draft and the pro day work that he was doing out there. He was working with these guys as well.
But it's nice to see that our Cowboys decided to get together before they were even Cowboys and work on some stuff, right?
They knew something before we knew it, right? But the important thing is, he talked about that time, that 40 time was what dropped them off the map. So
yeah, so
again,
and that's what I'm trying to say, like, another man's trash is another man's treasure. That unfortunate circumstance probably directly led to us getting him. He straight up said it. I pulled the quad in my pro day. I'm fully recovered now. I was running a 4.42 5 days before my pro day at Arizona's Exos facility. So
there you go. So there's the backing. That's the context of his quote.
But something to keep in mind, though, because maybe if it wasn't for this, he would have gone almost completely undrafted, maybe. Who knows? Because of that, he said he hired a photographer to film a workout 2-3 weeks ago after the Cowboys asked to see him do some defensive back drills.
Yeah.
So then his agent went ahead, emailed it to the Cowboys, right?
Cowboys were impressed.
The and he said the Cowboys were actually really impressed, and now he's a Dallas Cowboys.
And other teams he sent it to as well.
Yeah, he sent it to a few other teams that he had 30 visits with, which were Tampa, New Orleans, Indianapolis, and Minnesota. So they all got that same footage.
The Cowboys were watching that. Let me just... the Cowboys are watching. That's why they traded up for him.
Yeah, so... And this, to me, is another reason why he is a Dallas Cowboy now. He said, quote, I base my game on physicality, and it shows on film.
Now, and that's the film some of that stuff he's showing is what he sent to these teams.
He's obviously not lying if that film was as impressive as, he says. So...
Yeah, no, and again, I think every single one of these guys that kind of came to the building, all these rookies you're seeing right here on this list, most of these guys are talking about the culture, the brotherhood, the family situation. And Eric Scott Jr. said he feels, quote, a family vibe when he made his 30 visit. We also has a connection, too, right? To the JC, the junior college pipeline, so to speak.
Yeah, so I was going to say Tank and Gallup both went to that college. So
which one was it? Butler Community College in Kansas. And then he transferred to Southern Miss. Same junior college, like you said, as Tank, or as DeMarcus Lawrence, I should say.
Hey,
and
junior college is
Michael Gallup.
Very important.
Now, baby, that's the last defensive pick. We're going to go to the last 2 picks here in a minute. Mm-hmm. And they're all on offense, as you can see, running back and receiver. But I do want to say one thing. Micah Parsons spoke after that Eric Scott Jr. Pick, and all the defense. I guess it was after the draft, but he posted this. I'll read it to you guys. A picture of Baltimore Raven great Hall of Famer Ray Lewis. Micah Parsons retweeted this with basically like a shrug, but like, we're going to do this based off of what Ray Lewis has his old statement here on the Ravens' mentality on defense. Quote: "We made it simple. If they don't score, they don't win." And then, no matter how, remember, they had Trent Dilfer back then as their quarterback and won a Super Bowl, and he was a horrible quarterback, but they didn't have a great offense. They had a good running back, and they had some good players on offense, but it was just enough to get by. They would score 17 points and win 17-3 on offense. You know what I'm saying? So that's seems to be the mentality the Cowboys are going with. And then Micah retweeted this picture with Ray Lewis on there with the shrug emoji and just kind of saying, we're not going to let anybody score. It doesn't matter about the offense. The defense is going to be the impact, the identity of this team going forward. And the defense don't let them. The defense lets them get no points, 3 points, 6 points. They're losing. I don't care who's our quarterback, who's on offense.
You know what's funny? I think one of the deciding factors when the Cowboys thought about their draft strategy this year, it had to be those games where Dak was out. Just because the fact that our defense was able to carry us through that type of
and
adversity.
McCarthy's coaching on offense.
Oh, of course.
I think,
I'm not denying it was a variety of factors.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that the Cowboys felt confident investing in their defense first because of those things. So just throwing that out there.
So, baby, before we move on here,
Micah definitely wants to win.
Yeah, we got this defense thing locked down, baby. I mean, we are going to compete top 3 defense no matter what. I think we could be number 1 easy. It's going to come down to our offense and how we do things. But, Philly, the Niners, and the Cowboys. That's the best 3 defenses in the NFL, I think, right now. The Buffalo Bills could be thrown in there. But I do truly think, though, baby, that the AFC has the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The NFC has the defense, the big D, if you know what I mean. And it starts in Dallas. So make sure you guys...
I was going to say, actually, let's take a little short commercial break here, guys. Remind everyone to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily. Of course, hop into the Discord as well. Link for that is in the description box down below. And, not just that, guys. We do have to shout out the people helping to make MCF happen here, like Mark Hosepian. Mahalo to you. Appreciate you, of course. Also, bossing that stream around with 60 points left. On the stream boss.
Hell yeah.
Trent M representing on the Cash App King
Boom.
side of things. Thank you, Trent.
Yes.
All the way from Australia.
And who's leading the things right now? As we speak, got a lot of people running this thing here. The Q-Man, Justin Quarles, skeptical fan. But in first place in the Cash App.
Jason
first place
Renfro.
On the overall board is the Cash App King record holder, Jason Renfro. And now he's trying to get that crown back again from Trent M, representing from, like you said, Australia. But that navy blue, silver, and star, that's what we all do here, the family. Appreciate every single one of you guys. And to help the love side of things, guys, without the super chats and the memberships right now, hopefully...
only a handful of ways to drop
hopefully sooner than later. Hopefully by May. You know what I mean? Oh, and speaking of...
Mark Hosepian
with that $3 holler.
Much love. Thank you, Mark.
I want to hear what the man Mark said because, he runs the show here. But he also, we have some dissenting views at times. I am always in the mood to hear what the man Mark Hosepian said.
And by the way, after this, I think I'm going to go ahead and hit up the poll in the chat as well. And I do want to throw out there, guys, we're saving our overall thoughts about the entire draft more for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll touch on it a little bit tonight, but today's just
today we're trying to focus as much on just the day 3 and undrafted moves that we've made.
Yeah. And but when I say that, I mean we were doing that because we want to give an overlay, quick. It's a lot of stuff.
Foundation.
So tomorrow we're going to kind of do part 2 of this and break it down, give you more of our feelings, and we want to hear your feelings. But if you want to know our feelings tonight and your feelings want to be known, you can do what Mark Hosepian said or Jason Renfro or everybody else. Dropping the love.
Yes.
We'll read your comments.
So thank you, Mark. He said the tight end pick was horrible. The linebacker is a project and won't play much. Remember what I said about trading up? We could have nabbed Mayer in round 1 with a huge upgrade over what we got. We trade back in the first round for Mozzie. Well, we couldn't trade back. We couldn't have traded back for Mozzie. And again, that was the key kind of a lynch point there in us actually drafting him in the first place, right? Because 2 teams called us about trading back. One of them was Kansas City Chiefs, and the other one was the Raiders. We said no thanks to the Raiders since they were like 38. But the Chiefs called. We entertained that offer right to the last minute.
Yep. But
because
31,
they straight up said, we're going to get Mozzie. That's who we want.
Guys, remember, you got Mark. No. You got to remember that Chiefs were going to take Mozzie, and nobody wanted to trade. I want to make sure this is clear. We could have traded to another team in front of the Chiefs. No. The only teams that were interested were the Raiders at 38 in the second round. And they probably weren't offering enough, I don't know, or not enough to get Mozzie from us. And then the other thing was with the Chiefs, they were considering it. Whatever the deal was, might have been good enough for the Cowboys to trade down, but they wanted to trade down to get Mozzie. And the Chiefs wanted Mozzie, so the Cowboys said, hail to the no.
Yeah, I think the tight end situation also is another one of those tricky ones. Again, I like the addressing of the position, but I'm still not sure how to feel about a shoe shiner, as someone affectionately called him here in the chat. I don't know how to feel. Who was actually? Let me give you credit.
But yeah, that's funny. Shoe shiner. I like that name.
Again, I'm still not sure how to feel about it. I do think it's a bit of a reach as of now, and I do think that the Cowboys definitely went for addressing the position over maybe a best player available scenario. So
when we talk about, I know you have. Listen, we have 3 days of the front office talking about this stuff. Stay tuned for that because I have a quick breakdown on both Overshown and on the tight end Schoonmaker. I see what the Cowboys are doing, but everybody should. And I hear a lot of YouTubers out there and a lot of other people and analysts trying to, on the Cowboys draft shows, don't buy into that. That's Jerry Jones ran. But every pick is unbelievable and great. Come on, YouTuber and Cowboy community. Come on. I know we could look at the good. But look at the bad, too. And let's be real about it. So you got to balance that in between.
Beast Mode, who called them shoe shiners.
That's
so
a
thank
good
you for that, Beast Mode.
And again, I know Mark's hard on this. And he's very hard on this draft. Every draft. And I understand why. Because we've been stinking it up for fucking 25 years. So, of course, you got to be mad about this. But let's wait to see what happens. I'm going to say the same thing I did last year. We'll give our quick grades tonight and then another grade tomorrow after I get a bigger chance to kind of dive deeper into the analytics and things. Although I think I've schooled myself pretty well about all these picks. And I'm going to try to do that at the end part of the show tonight. I have some stuff on Schoonmaker or Schoon. What's his name? I can't. Now you guys screwed me up. I'm saying Shoe Shiner.
Yeah, it's not Schoon. It's
Schoonmaker.
Yeah,
Schoonmaker and Overshown. I wanted to know more about why. Even though they're good,
I
whatever.
Spoonmaker.
We'll talk about it whether it's tonight or tomorrow night. But yeah, we got like 70 plus 80 people in the house earlier. Hitting that like, subscribing if you're new, notification bell. We gotta do it tonight. Big show tonight, but tomorrow night is the more the chill show.
Yes.
And the finale of the week. So it takes over the
final
crown.
thing I will say real quick, I'm actually a fan of Overshown, and I think he's going to be pretty solid.
I like what we're going to do with him under Dan Quinn. That's what makes him, he's a fourth rounder for most teams, but he's a third rounder for the Cowboys.
I did see somebody ask way back towards the beginning of the chat, is it smart to basically let Dan Quinn have so much say in our draft when we're not necessarily sure that Dan Quinn is still going to be the guy leading these guys next year?
I think this answers this answers the question, though.
I was going to say, to me, it sounds like Dan Quinn,
is running the show for a while.
Basically, I imagine they're going to wait till the end of this year, but it sounds like he's also interested possibly in staying for another year or two to kind of maybe really finish things out in Dallas. And finish what he started there.
He's going with.
Now let me take this dog out before.
Where's the little one?
I think he's sleeping. So just saying. But let me.
So hey, by the way, guys, yes, hit the like, subscribe, and notification. Appreciate everybody here with us on this big show tonight. This recap and reaction. We'll have a little reaction period as well on here. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit more of a more educated reaction. Let's put it that way. So, I'm trying to make sense of some of these picks, but I also am trying to be real about these picks, all right? And you see them right here. It makes it a lot better, doesn't it, guys, when you see the three other guys over there that were picked up in trade over the last 8 months or so. Marco Sepien dropping another one, a $3 holler here. Other than the Mozzie, I see less. Ooh, let me see here if I can get that whole thing here. He said, other than the Mozzie pick, let me sure I get okay. Other than Mozzie, I see these picks as depth. The linebacker will be better over Jabril Cox. The cornerback is a slight improvement, maybe over Nashawn Wright and Kelvin Joseph, which I do said that earlier. I think that's what we're doing with these guys. Edge may be better than Golston, but we need quality over quantity. Marco Sepien's very pissed. So
there we go.
I wanted you to get the very pissed part of that. But I think when you look at this, Mark, look at these three picks right here. I know they're not picks, but they're trades using our draft capital. It's using the draft. This is part of the draft. Brandon Cook, Stephon Gilmore, Jonathan Hankins, Mozzie Smith, Luke Schoonmaker, Demarion Overshown, Viliami Fehoko, Asim Richards, Eric Scott Jr., Deuce Vaughn, Jalen Brooks. Again, the last pick is almost like a throwaway. He's almost like an undrafted. The receiver, I'll talk about him really quick.
Kind of on the other side of things, Say Williams said, what I love about this draft is our team drafted for needs and not wants.
I think
so on the other side of things, that's maybe a reason why you might really like this draft. Just trying to throw it all out there.
If it leans more that way, that's a change of philosophy. So that's part of the change of philosophy.
Yeah, so Scott Yak, much love, said
in the house.
Said there's only a select few first-round projected surefire talents.
Yeah.
After that, it's a bunch of who really knows, and maybe they'll
very
be good.
true. And again, Cowboys had only 11 guys they felt were first-round talents. 11. So,
Yeah, they went into the first round knowing that they already weren't going to get someone that was maybe rated
I'm
guaranteeing you
they wanted to trade down. But Mozzie Smith was another favorite out there.
Personally, to me, the second
Kincaid.
I was going to say, after those first few picks were made and they saw Kincaid was a very legitimate possibility, like someone was doing a happy dance in that draft room. I'm
curious to know
and then the Bills said, hold up.
And they jumped and took them. But I'm curious to know, would Marco Sepien would rather have Dalton Kincaid or Mozzie Smith? I'd rather have Mozzie Smith. Now, going back into this, guys, let's get to the big. I think again, why don't you hit the poll?
Yeah, let me go ahead and look at the poll, guys. So far, with 94 votes,
94 votes.
Yes,
okay.
Guys, from the 3 players selected, from the players selected, who was your favorite day three pick? And overwhelmingly, no surprise, there are somewhat homegrown Dallas Cowboy Deuce Vaughn,
running back,
is leading it with 67% of the vote. After that, 16% of you guys said Asim Richards, and 15% said Viliami Fehoko.
I got the same order too. Like that, I voted, of course, Deuce Vaughn, but to me, Asim Richards is next on that list. Fehoko, I'm not really sure. It depends on what he's going to do as a 3-tech. That's what we got to focus on with him. And then Eric Scott's kind of the Sean Wright replacement in my mind, or the see if he can make a run at the Kelvin Joseph situation. That failure, either way. This is the moves for those guys, and I understand why it's in that order, because Deuce Vaughn, guys, at pick 212, 6th round pick, 212, we drafted Kansas State running back Deuce Vaughn, and remember the big deal here that we talked about this here multiple times. He was, like, to me, the last running back we would pick, and we picked him. Although my guy was out there still, though, right? What's his name? Zach Evans was out there. At this point of this draft, at the end of the 6th round, and he got drafted, about middle of the 7th round, I think. So I'm surprised he dropped so far. But Deuce Vaughn, we know why he dropped. This is size, and this is his weight, all that stuff. So why the Cowboys what did I have an inkling? And a lot of people had an inkling why the Cowboys might pick him up. Deuce Vaughn, his father is Chris Vaughn, and we've talked about this here multiple times on this channel. His father, Chris, is the Cowboys' assistant director of college scouting, working with Will McClay in the scouting department. Very touching moment, guys. I'm sure you all have seen it. If you haven't, after the stream, go see it, guys. Yes. A touching moment inside the Cowboys draft room with colleagues giving Chris Vaughn a standing ovation, a very emotional moment. When you saw Deuce Vaughn's father and there, Chris, breaking into tears, sitting there kind of breaking down. Yeah. Everybody gave him a standing ovation. It appeared, you could see also Jerry Jones attempted to hand him a tissue to inform him that the Cowboys are taking his son, and emotions overtook. Everyone again clapped for him, applauded. We check out the post audio, the post audio of the draft call, guys. Fantastic. I mean, this is the one you want to see. This is a special one here. Father calls his own son.
Yeah, definitely one of the feel good stories of day 3.
For sure.
Just,
for all around. Yeah, the entire, not just us, but the entire draft. Will McClay usually makes the call. This time it was Dad. It's crazy, right? So, again.
Just a really emotional moment, but yeah, we did just only draft him, because
it's funny though.
He's our assistant,
related to our somebody who works for the Cowboys. But think about this though, guys. First, it was the grandkids took part in the draft on Friday night. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Overshown.
Yeah.
Big time family member grandson throwing in some love there for Overshown. And then you see it again here with somebody who works for the organization. His son getting drafted by the Cowboys here. So again, guys, two family kind of styled draft days here. Day 2 and day 3.
Draft in that sense.
Now, you actually have the stuff on the kind of Deuce and his dad Chris, mm-hmm. and their situation. They spoke a little bit, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, let me tell you guys that even though it's a feel good story, this is. He's a legit weapon, and that's why you guys like him the most.
We didn't just do this for the headlines or for the squishy good feelings or whatever. He's got something to offer us.
Deuce Vaughn, guys, is a legit weapon. Looking like he's going to be... his comp is Darren Sproles 2.0. In fact, Robert Smith, I like Robert. He's a smart guy, former Pro Bowl running back for the Vikings. He actually announced one of the picks today. He said, quote, about Deuce Vaughn, quote, he's just like a Darren Sproles. He can be extremely dangerous in the receiving realm and is a third down running back. Think of Darren Sproles, guys. I mean, you know how tough it was to stop him when he was the Eagles. Small, speedy, strong.
Yes.
Same thing as Deuce Vaughn, guys. Deuce Vaughn is 5'5" inches. 5'5". He's 179 pounds. You're right. And extremely productive at Kansas State University. Over his last 2 years with the Wildcats, he had 2,962 rushing yards, 27 rushing touchdowns, 91 catches, 846 receiving yards, and 7 receiving touchdowns. I mean, the guy had 34 total touchdowns in 27 games in the air and the ground. Get the ball in his hands. And we don't have Kellen Moore there to screw this up. Mm-hmm. We had Turpin, get him the ball in his hands. He don't know how to do it. McCarthy's going to use that West Coast offense to do this. Now we got to talk about the man Marco Sepien dropping another tree on it.
Ooh, Brandon
Cooks style. Again, like I said, got to include Brandon Cooks, Gilmore, and Hankins in this draft using draft capital. What did my guy here, Marco Sepien, say? He's back to 69 points on that stream, boss.
So he said, you nab Mozzie, you move back up to nab Meir. Luke was picked over Osiris? You don't just use a number 2 on a tight end who blocks and is not a catcher. Mozzie and Deuce are great picks, and we play a 4-2-5. When will the linebacker play? It was depth pick.
And again, I think that it is the future of, let's say, LVE being gone. When he's out of here, might be next year. You got Damone Clark starting, and you got the replaced Jabril Cox here, with Overshown as our 2 main guys at linebacker, with help from a safety. Now that's for next year. I think LVE's here for 1 year, so 1 more year at least. So my point here is, I understand the concern. I also think that the Cowboys have put Jake Ferguson as their starting tight end. Even with Schoonmaker. Schoonmaker is the blocking number 2 in 12 and 13 personnel, with Hendershot in 13 personnel as well. But that's what the Cowboys are going to go with. So you have to look at what the Cowboys are trying to do. I agree. I would have rather had Osiris Torrance, but the Cowboys had him lower. And again, that's the way they graded. That's Will McClay. Is that good or not? We don't know. We'll have to wait to see how this process is.
And again, by the Cowboys in action, that's also them showing we do value the tight end position, but not enough to actively make a move to go grab one, right?
Well, because exactly. They didn't like Michael Myers. They didn't like Michael Myers.
Didn't like him as much.
Yeah, Michael Mayer was not a guy. They liked Musgrave. They liked Laporta. Both these guys were gone. And I don't think Marco Seppian would have liked that. If he had jumped them and Mayer was there.
If we had tried to move up in the second round to
get
grab Laporta.
Or to get Musgrave, Luke Musgrave. If we got those guys, I think that you'd be giving away, an Overshown in a pick, right? So, and I'm with him with Fehoko there getting picked there. There was other guys I would have liked better, but the Cowboys went that way. Like, you can question every pick. We got to see this stuff in action first, right? So we'll keep this going. I hear you, Mark. I hear you. I hear the frustration, and some of this at live watching got me frustrated. Investigate a little bit more. You get the ins and outs on these guys, but yes, pretty much everybody's drafting for depth. Now, I do think the Steelers had a good draft. The Giants had a good draft. The Eagles had a good draft. Just an overlook. And a couple other guys had good drafts. They were just the guys that I studied more, I guess you can say. But I think that everyone is drafting for first round a little bit now, and the rest of the draft for the near future at the very latest. So
that's right. Yeah, Thomas Garrett reminding us it's a knee issue with my Mayer.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Knee issue.
Once he got picked up by somebody else, I didn't care. But knee issue for him, not knee issue, but it was another issue, medical issue with Washington, with the Steelers got. So, Darnell Washington. So we'll see how all that stuff, ends up going for those guys that we kind of watched and wanted here in Dallas.
In a way that we just didn't like.
Yeah. Either way, now we have Deuce Vaughn running back. Would I rather have Zach Evans? Yeah, in some ways. But if the Cowboys really like this guy, I'm going to use him in a West Coast offense as a guy who's going to really be able to be a game changer, Darren Sproles type of guy. Using him a third of the time, that's fine. And special teams, pass catching, yeah, as a receiver in there, it's thrown in there. It's Mike McCarthy now, not Kellen Moore running the offense. So hopefully his experience will show here in utilizing some of our young guys that have skill sets that fit what we're trying to do in offense, in the West Coast offense. So I want to reiterate, guys, he's 5'5". He finished with 3,604 rushing yards in his career. He had 1,280 receiving yards and 43 touchdowns in his career. Mm-hmm. He led the FBS with 1,936 all-purpose yards last year. And the Cowboys, of course, had a running back need. He's second team all Big 12 last 2 years and led the FBS with, again, the all-purpose yards. He was the number one rusher, basically. Mm-hmm. Number one player when you add the receiving and rushing yards. He blew everybody out of the water, guys. And on top of that, 93.6 PFF grade since 2020. 2020, 21, 22, 3 years. 93.6 rushing grade. That's second among Big 12 running backs. Fantastic. That's my pick of the day. I voted for Deuce Vaughn. And again, I'm going to go back to the catching because I think you're going to see him in the West Coast offense catching the ball a lot. There we go. Before we go let's catch what Mark Hosepian had to say with that $1, $2, $3 holler, like I say here, Brandon Cook style. Cooking it. What did Mark say, baby?
Oh, sorry, give me a second. My phone. There we go. Thank you, Mark. Much love. Appreciate you. He said, "You made my point. A number 2 for a blocking tight end? That's ridiculous. If they're concerned about the future, what about the O-line? Tyron is here for 1 more year, and he won't play a whole season, and we need O-line depth."
1,000% agree.
Again, that's where I'm assuming
Asim Richards,
their little board there came into play in the sense of, for them, obviously, Schoonmaker did not feel like a reach.
I also think...
I'm assuming whatever offensive lineman that they had there still, they had a lot of other players in front of them on the board. Or, again, the need for tight end combined with the players available meant that Schoonmaker was just overwhelmingly the correct choice, right? Because at that point, the Cowboys are like, oh, yeah, maybe we need, we still need offensive line, but we can wait on that.
I think that's the best thing to say. Asim Richards, he's a guy I think that the Cowboys are going to see how he fits into this role and go on from there. Tyler Smith's going to go to the tackle eventually. We don't know what's going on with Terrence Steele, but if he's good this year, he'll stay on that side. That's going to be, Tyron Smith, forget him after this year. Do not take this out of the equation. Do not. I think the Cowboys, like with Zeke, and you'll hear Jerry Jones speaking on this. Just because we got Deuce Vaughn doesn't mean we're not going to still pick up Ezekiel Elliott sometime here in the near future. That still is very much a possibility. But when you look at like the way I guess you could say that the way the Cowboy, and I'm looking at what he said about the offensive lineman. The Cowboys will go next year.
We could have just gotten an offensive lineman there instead.
I agree, but they didn't like the player or whatever. Next year, they'll get an offensive lineman for that spot. My thing is, I think they do not be surprised, like with Zeke in the free agency, they go grab an offensive guard. Somewhere it's a veteran guard in free agency and a kicker. But we're talking offensive line for a 1 year kind of window there to get the most out of our tackles right now, which is Tyron Smith, Terrence Steele, and, of course, Tyler Smith. So those are our three tackles. And you got a couple, of course, Zach Martin at guard, but then you bring in there, you got some guys in there like backup centers in there, like, what's his name? The guy we drafted a couple years ago in the 7th round that we thought was going to challenge for the starting spot, Farniok.
Yeah.
He's a third string guard, maybe, at worst, I guess, maybe second string at best, but now we have, in this 5th round here, we got Asim Richards from North Carolina. We'll see how that develops. He's not going to start right away, so I think it might be Tyler Smith in the beginning. He goes
more
to tackle,
like one of the Connors.
And then exactly. And then I think you bring in maybe you can bring in a free agent possibly. I think that's something really out there. That's a possibility at the guard spot. And again, like I said, running back with Zeke possibly and kicker for sure is going to be a thing.
Skeptical fan, have a great night. Much love.
Good night, brother. So
real quick, a few people here say, Beast Mode said I can't get over his height.
5'5".
It feels like it was just like. A headline-making pick.
Well, you'll hear why he uses that height to his advantage. He actually his shortness makes it hard for him to be found.
Yeah,
not a joke there.
And I do want to point out before I shut out Mark Hosepian's $3 holler here. Thank you again, Mark. Much love. But yeah, before I address that real quick, Jerry himself is the one that said the comments about Zeke. I want to make that clear.
We'll get to that.
And it's not the first time.
Yeah,
we're not just saying this like, bring Zeke back or whatever. Yeah. Jerry's the one that left that door possibly open.
He's keeping that alive. And
by the way,
there's interest.
By Zeke's comments and actions, sounds like Zeke is also keeping that door open on his side as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he might not have anywhere else to go, to be honest with you. He's still working out with Dak and going to events with Dak. They're still connected, like you said it when we were watching. The ex-girlfriend that won't leave you alone. Still hangs out. So
Mark Hosepian with the $3 holler there, much love. He said,
much love.
We have a guy in the 6th round who will contribute and improve this team immediately. All the other picks are generally bodies. Other than Deuce and Mozzie, all the players won't be difference makers. It's a clown show.
I mean, I'm going to give the clown show the benefit of the doubt for this time because they are changing a little bit of their strategy. They drafted a little differently, I think.
I think that's why the draft does look so different.
Feels different, yeah. But again,
it's not what we expected or planned because the Cowboys are, from a mindset perspective, they are approaching this draft differently.
But Mark Hosepian is going to see it as the same old clown show because the picks are still reaches or. Even though we're concentrating on positions that maybe we wouldn't have focused on in the past, we would have went heavy offense. That was what we thought. We were going to go, knock out deep at the tackle in the first round, and we go and go do that. Value the safety in recent years. These are changes coming from Dan Quinn. And again, just throwing more pieces on defense for Dan Quinn to sort out. That's the quantity over quality. That's what the clown show. It's the same. And it's going to continue being the same. That's the way the Cowboys draft. That's what they do. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I complain about that too. I wish they'd have 5 picks and get quality. But the Joneses are not doing that. That's the clown show. That's the same. The difference is they're going for different positions and kind of sometimes maybe tweaking the draft a little bit, it seems like, so far in different ways than just the clown showy stuff there, right? That they always seem to pull of getting a lot of guys in and then 3 survive, right? They end up being viable pieces for our team. I hear what Marco Seppian saying. The Cowboys they throw 10 darts at the dartboard and hit a bullseye here and there and a couple close. Everything else misses. That's what they do. They want to do it that way. They're going to continue to do it that way. And rely and hope that Will McClay.
It definitely doesn't help that the Eagles had the type of draft that they had, right? It's when you compare their draft to ours, ours, of course, is going to look a little bit shabbier just because they managed to get, some really quality picks at pretty good spots.
They had a lot more picks and they had a lot more early picks than us. And they also moved that around. It's Howie Roseman. That's where the GMing comes into play. That's where the clown show, that's where the Cowboys are the clown show. Because, Howie Roseman makes moves. If you mess up, you take a slight hit and you keep moving forward. Joneses are sitting here doing it their way, their style. That's the clown show. And that's what I think Marco Seppian's saying. But I do like a lot of these players. But I understand, again, we could have gotten better players and less players overall.
And that's what I'm trying to say, that I actually do like this strategy by the Cowboys doubling down on defense, at least.
Oh, okay. And that's another change, too.
That caught me off guard. I was not expecting as many defensive players as we got.
That tells you Dan Quinn's going to be here for a while.
But to me, that is part of some of the changes I was seeing. Even Mozzie, to me, I was just thinking about this earlier, too, while you were talking about it. But when you look at all those picks, to me, the most surprising pick is actually Mozzie, just because I didn't actually think the Cowboys would go defense, and not just defense, right? Defensive linemen in the first round are Dallas Cowboys.
Never happens.
Again, the last time that happened, I was not even alive on this planet. I didn't even exist.
It was Jimmy Johnson trying to go for his first Super Bowl with the Cowboys. I'm just trying to say, Russell Maryland getting drafted in the first overall pick.
That is a change. And I do think that will produce, hopefully, more favorable results. Because remember, you have to see it at least from Jerry's perspective. This team has been contending for the last handful of years. And last year, we were just 2 games away from maybe taking it all. Remember, this is from Jerry's perspective.
I know, but he knows now Kellen Moore was a part of the problem there. Tony Pollard broke his ankle. Those things ended that season for us. On top of the bad play by Dak that game and other bad situations going on. We couldn't stop the run. Still, even though we did better in this towards the end, we still let the run control the game on us. So that's where we are addressing here. Mm-hmm. Run defense, stopping that. If we do that to the Niners this year with a better defense, even with a crappy offense, we would still probably win against a Brock Purdy-led Niner team with a better run defense this year. And that's what the Cowboys just want to say. We got to get this defense top-notch, elite, consistent, and no more questions. We don't have to F around with this anymore. So that's the way I kind of see it, and we'll have to see. We'll see how the defensive strategy and the now our MO is defense and not about the high scoring, high flying offense. We got a little offense going in there. We'll see what we do, but it's about the defense, and that's what it's about. It's going to be about like that for the next handful of years with Dan Quinn, either a defensive coordinator or the head coach. Keep that in mind. Yeah. So back to this draft here. Again, appreciate everybody's drops of love from above, comments in the chat, and we'll try to stop again when you guys, if you guys drop any kind of love, we'll stop and talk and discuss it. But until then, we're gonna go finish this full strong. We've got still a ways to go, and I do have another shout out, by the way, before we go, and that's why I want to get it out the way here real quick. But hey, you guys stop us, we'll shout you out every time. It's the man Jason Renfro, baby.
Much love, Jason.
He dropped a $2 holla right there, and he said 2 words.
Go Cowboys. Oh,
you know it. Always go Cowboys. Much love to the man Jason Renfro, as he still is in the overall first place spot. I meant to say Marco Seppian jumped Justin Quarles, and he's now in 3rd place behind Skeptical Fan and Jason Renfro. And now you have Mark back in the scene, crispy and clean, with another $3 Brandon Cooks holla.
Much love, Mark. I appreciate you. You know what Marco Seppian had to say?
I do want to know.
He said,
I don't know what he said, but I want to know.
Mozzie's a huge upgrade over what we have. Luke is not a huge upgrade over Ferguson at all. You don't get a gimmick tight end over a future cog in an O-lineman. Easily give up into the... Let me see. I'd easily give up on the corner or defensive edge pick to get a good player.
And I agree with him on that side of things as far as moving the pick to the guy you want. But with the Cowboys, I wanted Mayer. No.
Yeah,
I don't think they wanted him.
Like I said, it doesn't sound like that interest was mutual.
So go back to the beginning part of that. I did want to...
that, Mozzie is a huge upgrade over what we currently have, but Luke... Schoonmaker,
I think
he's not an upgrade over the guys that we already have.
I think. Now, I want to know what Mark and everybody else has to say about that. I do think, and I'll go into this a little more tomorrow, Ferguson's our starter, not Schoonmaker. Schoonmaker is our starter in 12 personnel as the inline blocker / fullback. Who knows? I'm just saying, like, to me, I think he's going to have a multi-versatile role here with the Cowboys as the number 2 tight end, because he's not the high... the athletic, flashy type Ferguson or Hendershot. Even though by the way, he is extremely athletic. I don't know if you guys know that, but he's extremely athletic. Schoonmaker. I can't find his name.
Schoonmaker.
You guys messed me up. I had his name down. Now it's going to take me a year to get it. Schoonmaker. Schoonmaker has he's one of the most athletic tight ends, believe it or not, coming to the NFL. So there's some hidden talent there. I'm still going to see how McCarthy is going to use him, but the blocking is... Again, that's the thing that bothers me, because there's other better blockers in my opinion, but he was the best blocker left, and not really a great receiving threat yet. Kind of like Dalton Schultz. So to me, we got Dalton Schultz-ish kind of player here, but we got Schultz in a steal in the 4th round. We didn't know that was going to be a steal. Yeah. Remember, that first 2 years, he had like 3 catches. And then we started using him in a different way, using him more often, and he came to light in that offensive scheme. We're going to see how if we get Dalton Schultz, let me just ask, if we get Dalton Schultz in the 2nd round, that would make us happy. We got a cheap Dalton Schultz. Now, he blocks better than Dalton Schultz. He breaks tackles better than Dalton Schultz. I'm saying he gets yak. So he's an upgrade there. So I think that's what the Cowboys are looking at as a second tight end option to be that kind of receiving guy in that sense. Better than Dalton Schultz. Ferguson's going to be more athletic than Dalton Schultz. Of course, so is Hendershot. And then I think you're going to get Schoonmaker as being a guy who's going to be providing a lot of inline blocking right behind the offensive line at the edge, or behind the tight end that's on the line of scrimmage. He'll be behind them doing some blocking scheme stuff with what's his name, Mike Soliari. I think they talked about the fact they're going to be using him to help pull and block as an inline blocker, as a slot tight end, and as a on the line of scrimmage based tight end. So, but again, you're going to get him doing that throughout the year, mixing it up. You're going to have Ferguson the starter, and he's your pass catching tight end. He's your replacement to Dalton Schultz in a way, with the athletic side, which is better. And then the other sides, which is, again, an athletic Schoonmaker and the blocking abilities, better run after catch and breaking tackles. That's what the Cowboys are. That's what I'm not saying what I want. I'm saying that's what the Cowboys are looking at when it comes to the tight end position. And that's why they love Schoonmaker much more than more than anybody here. Shoe Shine. I'm gonna fucking say that name.
Luke.
Luke.
His first name we know. That one we know. That one we can say, right?
It messed me up today with that Shoe Shine. Anyway, you guys will be proud about that.
Sorry, baby.
No, it wasn't you. It was a beast. Was it beast mode? Anyways.
Yeah, that was a beast mode.
He screwed it up. He put it in my mind. Now, back to Deuce Vaughn, guys. Here, pick 212. We'll never get done. 116 passes caught. All right, in college. More than any other of the top running back prospects in this draft class, including the great Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way. So, 2 career fumbles for Deuce Vaughn over 3 years, right? 4 years. Two fumbles on 767 career touches. So, he don't fumble that much. He gets 100. He caught 116 passes in college. More than anybody else in this entire running back draft class. So when you look at the speed and the yards after the catch in the West Coast offense, Tony Pollard, his 40 time, 4.52. Deuce Vaughn's 40 time, 4.44. The shuttle time, little quick jittery moves. Tony Pollard, 4.37. Deuce Vaughn, 4.22. Deuce Vaughn, guys, again, drafted 212 here. He scored a 4.32. That's very low on the athletic score, but we know that the reason why is simple, guys. Again, he was ranked 993 out of over 1,700 running backs since 1987. But why? Athletically, his height. He got a .05. I mean, I've never seen something that low. That's what brought him down. The 5'5", the weight 179, and the bench press 17.
Hey, it's a short king season.
Exactly, and the speed wasn't. I guess you could say again. They I think thought he would be even a little faster. at the scouting combine, where he got a 4.58, but he ran faster than that in the pro day. So I'm just saying, like, could he be faster? I'm sure, but when you put a couple of the rare traits together, you're seeing him matched up with Tony Pollard. Imagine both these guys on the field at the same time. Ooh, man, that could be extremely scary. So the touching part about this is the war room, right? And Deuce Vaughn spoke.
Yes.
And he spoke about, probably, in my opinion, guys, in my humble opinion, this is the best war room reaction in Cowboy history. In our history. And yes, it's a great story and the whole thing, but it's the fact that we got him and there's use for him, because the Cowboys had him on that board for a while and he was their best guy for a while.
We actually surprisingly had him ranked, I think, as a 5th round pick.
Yeah,
on our overall board.
The Cowboys were literally saying, we want to give this young man a chance somewhere else. But when no one drafted him, the Cowboys were the safety net, and they would definitely take the value pick there in the 6th round.
Oh, yeah.
So what was said about this war room situation? Yeah, Deuce Vaughn spoke.
Deuce Vaughn said that he was super emotional when he got the call from Jerry Jones. Said there were at least 50 people at his parents' house in Austin, like, just for the draft party. As far as him being able to actually have that conversation with his dad, out of all people, who told him the news, he said all we needed was a chance as far as actually being selected as well. Like, again, obviously they're not unrealistic, right? They went into it knowing he was going to be very likely a day 3 guy and probably a later pick. So he was just glad to be drafted at all.
It's almost like the Cowboys didn't want to show favoritism, and they let him go so late that no one took him. All right, well, we'll take the deal here.
Exactly.
This is a deal we're giving to the NFL.
And this is the cute part. His dad said, "Do you want to come and work with me next week?"
Yeah, he responded with, "I would like that. I would like to do that, sir."
Oh, so and as far as him actually getting drafted, Vaughn did say, quote, "I wanted it to happen organically. All I needed was a chance, a foot in the door." So, and
he got that with his dad, Chris Vaughn.
Also, by the way, like, even in his high school, like, going into college, because at the time he was a college scout.
True.
He did not use any of of that, like, connection
he
or flex or whatever.
From that,
Exactly. So,
from scouting his own son,
Daddy did not do anything.
You can see how that would taint the situation, though, right? I mean, imagine Dad rating his son, and he's going to rate him favorably. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he, as you should do, you just get away. You do not rate your son, and that somebody else will grade him. And that's what the Cowboys did.
And you know what?
That's what he did.
The reality of football is the size does matter in the NFL. So Vaughn being 5'5", 179 pounds, not exactly working for him.
Beast Mode said he probably would have been undrafted.
Yeah, but Vaughn wants to know. Vaughn was asked, do you think that your size can be an advantage? He said, absolutely. I mean, I talked to a lot of people about this, man. I feel like it's an advantage. It's a gift for myself. I've been the smallest player on the football field ever since I stepped on it. So I've learned ways to be successful with it. I've learned ways to kind of create angles, to not be able to take a big hit, to be able to use my leverage against people. And one of the things I feel I do best is move laterally. I feel like my height and my size kind of allows me to play like that. Man, I couldn't imagine being 6 foot after playing all these years at my height.
So, guy, he hides behind those big offensive linemen. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of sliding and hiding behind them, and then he uses his leverage and his ability to move laterally to burn people, and he gets on the open field, he's gone. Now grab him.
Every time I grab something from one of our lower drawers, I might as well be grabbing it from an alternate dimension. So, it sometimes being short does have its advantages.
It does, because I know this whole house has got shorter people in this house,
and
everything is on their view line, not mine. So I gotta get on my knees to get
there
stuff.
There are things below 5 feet.
I can't see that.
There's a whole world.
I can't see that far down there.
You don't even know. So, by the way, guys, we mentioned this already too, but Sproles. Darren Sproles is someone that he kind of models his game after. They're both from Kansas State. And on top of that, Sproles is actually like one of his mentors, right? Somebody that he actually has chatted with, worked with, right? So Sproles actually reached out to him immediately following his selection. And how'd that exchange go? He said he was proud of me. He said to keep the short backs alive, and I told him I'd make him proud.
Hopefully, that will happen. That's what needs to happen. So, with the last pick, as you see here, 244, 7th round pick number 244. Yeah. Yes, the Cowboys.
I have a little bit more.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. That's right. Deuce Vaughn. That's right. You have a little more on Deuce.
I just wanted to throw this out here. So, first of all, do want to make it clear when it came to specifically his son and the way that the Cowboys scouted him, they did remove daddy-o from the room. He wasn't involved in any of the calls. He wasn't involved in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And then now today, like in these last few days, when the war room was talking about running backs, he personally would recuse himself from those discussions. So he wasn't involved in any running back. Yeah, he wasn't involved in any running back discussions. Smart. So
that's what you got to do.
Exactly. McClay said it's an interesting dynamic for those guys that work under him, and are part of his job. Obviously, he also mentioned that he thinks there's only ever happened like one other time before. Scott Linehan, his son Matt, was a quarterback at Idaho. Right. Mm-hmm. So he said that basically when a situation like that kind of comes up, you just have to be brutally honest and separate that personal relationship from the football relationship.
That's the way you get the cleanest scouting on these players. He's
like, nobody wants to talk bad about their kid. So I just thought that was kind of funny because he was saying it kind of in relation to Linehan, and I'm not here to talk crap about anyone. I just thought it was funny.
Can we talk crap about the coaches?
Look, we can do that. So as far as separating his scouting side of things from the dad side of things, Daddy Vaughn said, I know how the draft works. I understand the process. So it will probably mimic a lot of the recruiting process for Deuce. The elephant in the room is his size, which he has always been able to overcome with his ability. Because of that, me and him talked, and I've told him, listen, man, you were super productive in college, but the draft works differently. You probably won't be drafted where your production has been, and that's okay. So like I said, they were going into the draft mentally knowing, that he is going to have to show up and show out a little bit more, because on paper, a lot of teams are going to be hesitant about going after the 5'5" guy.
Yeah, that's again, elephant in the room, but everyone can see. Everyone sees it. You got to talk about it so they know.
Exactly. So something else that he mentioned too. Teams are going to have a vision for him, especially early in his career. They'll see him as a returner, a change of pace guy, use him in the pass game. I think the teams that'll have a vision for him and see these different scenarios will have a better draft grade on him.
That's what McCarthy. That's what McCarthy is probably. Again, how can you not know? You can probably know the most about Deuce Vaughn than anybody else if you're the Cowboys. Bringing him here, his good and bad from his dad. He's going to say the truths now because he's a Cowboy. So. My point is now you have literally another scout now that can really help his own son, in multiple different ways. I'm sure after the day is over of practice.
Yeah,
right?
The one way that Dad did help him was kind of coaching him with some of the questions that he knew that he would be asked. Like again, in relation to his size, basically like, how do you plan on still being effective knowing you're 5'5", things like that. So it's nice to see. Obviously talked a little bit about the differences between like high school and college and NFL and how all that's going to play out. But realistically speaking, one of the final thing, it basically, because a lot of the other comments they made are only relevant like pre-draft. They just talked about like their mentality going into it, which, we're here on the other side of it.
We got him here. And again, Darren Sproles, he helps him out. He mentors him. He models his game after Sproles. So, I think Deuce Vaughn is going to be, exactly what his dad said. He's going to be used in, change of pace, third downs, catching the ball in the backfield, some returns on special teams. And, of course, I think, you got to get the ball in his hands, and we'll develop that as the years go on. He'll get more and more snap count.
Yeah, and the final thing I'll add in here real quick. Like you said, obviously his dad's been employed with the Cowboys since 2017. They're from the Austin area. He's actually been lucky enough to play 2 games at AT&T Stadium already. The 2021 opener against Stanford, and then 2022, the Big 12 championship game against TCU.
There's a photo of him with his dad, by the way, back in like...
Both games were victories.
But there was 2012, I think he was still working with the Cowboys in some way, and he was there, I think, with Deuce, at one of these, as a coach or as somewhere with the Cowboys.
I think that was like his earliest relationship with the Cowboys. Yeah. He started working with us full time in 2017.
Yeah, so you're seeing this little young kid growing up. I mean, this kid was probably like 10. Deuce was probably 10. I mean, you can't tell because he's short now and he's short then. So he could have been 13 or 15 for all I know. But my point is, you can see that the Cowboys always had basically, dibs on him first. It seems like.
And Deuce himself. The final thing I'll say here is, quote, it'd almost be a proud moment to wear the star in there. It would be unreal. I'd definitely relish that opportunity.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying is that he has, again, him like all these other guys you see on this list, they have to earn this star.
And I'm seeing a lot of comments. Yes, we basically did get another Turpin-esque player, but the difference between Turpin and Vaughn is that Vaughn actually has a chance of being used just because we specifically drafted him not just to do special teams. You know, like we have a plan. You know, his own dad said it. Whoever drafts him is drafting him knowing his value at all these other things that he can do. And
I think one last thing I wanted to say about Deuce before we move on. Remember, guys, you know, Cowboys going to have Tony Pollard starter. Remember last year we had Zeke starter? Mm-hmm. Tony Pollard's a starter now. And I'm probably going to lose my point, so let me make sure I say it here.
Go ahead.
But Tony Pollard starting, getting first down snaps, second down snaps. As he goes to third downs, he could be used, but that's going to kill him. You're gonna probably not get the most effective Tony Pollard. So that's when you bring in a Deuce Vaughn on a third down play. Now, I also say, who's your short yardage guy? You're not going to use Tony Pollard and break him down. I'm telling you, guys, the Cowboys are going to use either Ronald Jones, currently on the team, or I believe Zeke is going to be brought back. I truly believe the Cowboys will get him back on some $2 million deal, and then he'll be fighting it out with Ronald Jones to see who wins that. I don't say fullback, but the power back, the short yardage running back. That would be Zeke's specialty. He'll be a specialty running back, like Deuce Vaughn is a specialty running back this season. And that's what I think will happen with if we we'll have a main guy in Tony Pollard, short yardage guy like Zeke or Ronald Jones, and then that third down scat back change of pace guy, more of a change of pace than Pollard. It's crazy, but you get someone like him there now getting in there fresh and giving Pollard a breather. That's how you get the best out of your running game, in my opinion. And I think Deuce Vaughn will be utilized in that way. So I think you're going to see a lot of Deuce Vaughn on third downs and other kinds of plays that match his skill. And again, guys, remember,
this is obviously our very, very initial kind of thoughts and things like that. So, once we let it marinate for 24 hours.
Tomorrow night.
Have, probably a slightly different
Tomorrow
idea.
night, guys, we'll give you a little more info and more of our thoughts on this specifically tomorrow night right here on My Cowboys Family for our end of the week kind of entire draft recap. This is just the third day here. So
and let's kind of keep talking about it because we'd had one more pick after Deuce Vaughn.
Last guy, 244 in the 7th round, wide receiver. Finally got a wide receiver, Jalen Brooks. Final pick, Jalen Brooks from South Carolina. Another guy who does not have a write-up in Dane Brugler's beast book there about the best 300 guys. Now, don't know much about him. All right, Jalen Brooks. He's 6'1". He's from South Carolina, but he's 6'1", 201 pounds. He ran the 40 in 4.57 seconds. Finished with 504 yards on 33 catches for South Carolina last year. Jalen Brooks, he bounced around. He was in Wingate, Tarleton State, and then he transferred to South Carolina. He finished with, again, 33 catches, 504 yards, and only 1 touchdown. He played 3 years with the South Carolina Gamecocks. He, again, a transfer from the Tar Heels as well, who improved year over year while he was with South Carolina. He had a career best season, like I said, 33 catches, 504 yards. But he has he demonstrates an ability to be an option on jet sweeps. Jet sweeps, you will see the famed jet sweep by the Cowboys, right? Yeah. So you'll see him being used. If the Cowboys do some of that, we saw CeeDee Lamb being used in that way. You might see Jalen Brooks try to be used in that way a little bit as well. We'll see. I don't know. He's not going to play too much. He'll be practice squad, in my opinion. And he's long. He's a long, tall, lanky receiver, but he's not fast. You can tell by the 4.5. For a receiver, not too fast. He's very athletic and not twitchy. He's a role-specific player, guys. He has certain traits that you want to use for him to be a certain type of player. Noah Brown type of player. Noah Brown.
Hint, that's it.
Hint, guys. So again, a Noah Brown type guy. Jalen Brooks might be that special teams practice squad / last receiver that might push off Asim Fehoko off the board. Believe it or not. So I'm just saying.
I guess we will go down to one Fehoko.
Or even a Turpin, too. Both these guys could be out the door, or maybe practice squad, or, I don't know. I don't know if they make the 53 when you got Deuce Vaughn and Jalen Brooks, if Brooks can show something.
It's hard to see a team that has all of those guys somehow on it, or even two at the same time type of thing.
So, again, the thing is this, guys, he'll either have to push his way on the roster, like, for instance, the way Dennis Houston did last year, made the 53, but probably a practice squad option with insurance at the wide receiver position. Kind of your Noah Brown in waiting in the practice squad. Mm-hmm. That's what I'd look at him there. He has his frame. bigger, longer kind of guy. He's ready. He's got an NFL ready frame, and he's flashed some ability moments, not consistency though. But he's flashed some moments of elite. Not to say elite, but NFL abilities that you can see is kind of in his college game. But there's still a lot of, again, obviously 7th round pick work to be done, developmental work. He needs to get to a point, and he can crack the 53. And again, we are assuming he's ready to go and ready to put in that work. So we'll see what happens with him. That's all we got on him. We talked about the undrafteds already. Mm-hmm. Now it's really about what the Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and Mike McCarthy's had to say in the last 3 days. Before I get there, let's take a quick break. Not a break, but a dip into the chat, if you don't mind. Hit a couple of thoughts as we come down the stretch run here. I'm going to probably skip my breakdowns because this is a long stream. We'll save it for tomorrow. I had some breakdowns, and I'll expand on I might slide through some quick stuff on those guys when you're talking, but it'll be a lot faster. Just too much, guys. It's going to be 4 hours.
We knew we had a lot to talk about and a lot to say, so not surprising.
2 hours,
and a lot of this stuff does need, and merits further discussion than just like saying, doing a little drive-by, drop a comment and bang, bang.
The whole draft, including Mozzie in the first 2 rounds as well. We're going to talk the first round, I guess, round 1, 2, and 3, first 2 days. We'll talk a lot more about those in detail tomorrow, along with the rest of these picks. But today is these picks. Tomorrow is the whole draft.
One thing, guys, real quick, because obviously if you're here tonight, tomorrow we're going to be putting up the poll as far as how we feel about the draft overall and your grade for it. So,
A, B, C, D?
If you can't, I was going to say so.
Or D, F, I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, we'll figure it out. The point is, I just want everybody to hopefully have a chance to at least come by and let us know what they think about the draft overall.
How's tomorrow. The poll going, speaking of?
Again, like I said, it was overwhelmingly.
I'm just curious, how many votes? Do you have over 100?
Let me see.
Should have over 100 now.
Let me see. With 108 votes, yes. Vaughn, 65% of everybody.
I thought it'd be more, honestly, than that.
Likes Vaughn the most today.
Well, give me the rundown. I'm just curious.
It's tied between Asim Richards and Viliami Fehoko with 16%. And after that, no one seems to really care, obviously, about Eric Scott.
And that's the movie we went up for. That's a Dan Quinn special.
I think most people are confused more than anything.
It was I think Roland. It was about risking that Eric's. Was it Eric Stoops?
Scott.
Eric Scott.
Risking
Eric Scott Jr. risking that Dan Quinn pick. They trust in Dan Quinn a lot. Maybe too much. I don't know. But the Dan Quinn pick and Eric Scott Jr. has all the fundamentals and developmental player for next year, let's say, to push off some of these other guys like, like Nashawn Wright and Kelvin Joseph. But the point here is that Eric Scott Jr. was that pick, and we didn't lose really much for him. We knew someone was going to pick him in front of us, so what we did was we gave up next year's end of the 5th round pick, and we're going to get a comp pick from Dalton Schultz or Connor McGovern. So that's the way the Cowboys are looking at that pick. But I agree with everybody. Like, why? Well, Dan Quinn. So is it worth it for a miss here and there to have Dan Quinn? I'd say yes, especially with the very little loss of draft spots for next year's draft to get this guy. Mm-hmm. We dropped maybe 10 spots in the end. From next year's 5th round.
Good night, Mike Aldana. Take it easy, Bama fan. All of you guys again.
We're not done, though.
I know. I see some people saying good night.
It is getting late. It's very late, 2:40. But it's Saturday night. Let's party. It's the end of the draft. Good, bad, or ugly. Keep voting and keep discussing in the chat. But let's keep it going here, baby, because today, after the Cowboys probably have a whole draft press conference. But the Joneses and Mike McCarthy had a press conference today at the Star in Frisco, Texas, of course. And the Cowboys, I'm going to say this. I'll let you take the reins in a minute. I'll go through the first section here. But Jerry Jones spoke today, and he said that the Cowboys are, quote, looking for a veteran kicker following this draft. And he said that the Cowboys had prospects in mind, but those prospects went off the board, assuming Mooney, right? Is that his name? Moody, yeah. Moody and Ryland. Those two guys, Ryland and Moody, those two guys were probably the guys the Cowboys looking at kicker. But remember, Jerry Jones just said, we want to get a veteran kicker. A veteran kicker doesn't have the yips. He said that yesterday. He said today, quote, we didn't get the kicker opportunity we thought we'd have, but we have, and we had other priorities at the time. So, again, meaning, as we go back to the draft board, you can see priorities like offensive linemen, Asim Richards, priorities like DeMaurian Overshown, if you were thinking about getting Moody, and then the pick 90, the Cowboys would have Overshown than Moody. And I can't disagree with that.
And you know what? It's okay because the Cowboys still have a perfectly viable option in free agency.
Exactly. And,
Let's just throw that out.
And again, Robbie Gould, baby. Robbie Gould, Mason Crosby. Some names to talk about if you want a veteran guy.
Yes, I think Robbie Gould is a free agent. Everyone, I love that everyone's immediate first reaction was, hey, Robbie Gould, right? Robbie Gould? That's what I like to hear.
Go for gold is all I'm saying. That's what I think. And speaking of going for gold, let me give a big shout out to the man, Jason Renfro. You know why I got to give a big shout out to the man, Jason Renfro? And I don't know if that's the reason why.
No, I don't think so.
But let me take this off here. Jason Renfro dropped a 5 on it.
Ooh.
In the Cash App side of things. So much love to the man leading the way right now. Jason Renfro dropping that $5 holler. And I go Cowboys as he's trying to take a bigger lead from Skeptical Fan, who's right now behind him, and Marco Seppian, who's also climbing up this board. Much love to the man, Jason Renfro, who also just dropped another Go Cowboys and another 5 on it. So he's trying to solidify a little lead here, just in case of the man Mark Hope-Sepian's possible runs.
Yeah.
And also, guys up there that are that are right behind him, like Skeptical Fan, who took said good night. He'll be back tomorrow for the finale of this week. So much love, Jason Renfro. Appreciate you, and always rep that navy blue, silver, and star over everything.
Aztec said I can't drop a holler because I didn't win a poker yesterday. So
I know.
Hopefully some better poker luck.
I saw you
tonight.
out there, man. Hey, listen. I love the ish talking out there. I don't want to risk it with the YouTube, but I came in ish talk. You great ish talking yesterday, if you know what I'm talking about. S talking, crap talking, great stuff. That was great. You got in their heads a little bit there. It was fun. It was a fun thing to watch. As in the house, although we disagree on everything, almost everything else. Star over everything, right? So, continuing this thing here, guys. The kicker situation, we talked about that. I think Robbie Gould, Mason Crosby. I'm not as high on Mason Crosby, but Robbie Gould, definitely, he's still a top-notch kicker, and he was just released because they didn't want to pay him the $4.5 million, whatever it is. He might get $4 million. You get him. I know. $4 million? Yeah, because that wins you games. And in the playoffs, it could be the end or the difference of advancing to the next round, whether you have a Robbie Gould or you got Maher kicking that freaking, missing extra points 5 in a row. So the point here is moving to another position, running back. All right? Jerry Jones was asked today about the possibility of re-signing Ezekiel Elliott. Again, guys, as I was, talking about the draft picks here tonight, and we were seeing, the draft going down, and as each pick went, I started thinking majorly, immediately, like, we're going to go Zeke here eventually, because if you look, Fehoko, Asim Richards, Eric Scott, you got 2 picks right now to go grab a very, very low-end running back. Now, does that solve the Zeke problem? That's the question that was asked to Jerry Jones. And it doesn't mean it's over for Zeke. I'll explain in a minute. But first,
like you said, Jerry is leaving that door very much open.
Well, I'm telling you an opening of Mark Hosepian, who's trying to get up the ladder here and jump into second and maybe first place. He dropped that $3 Brandon Cooks.
$3 holler. Much love,
What
Mark.
does the man say?
He said, our team is very close. We needed players that are difference makers, like Mozzie and Deuce. Every other player is a project of sorts. San Francisco and Philly were already good, and they greatly improved via draft, but not us.
I think overall I agree with that. I agree with him, especially about the Eagles. Niners.
Look, to me, the Eagles in particular, right? Because the Niners did pretty solid. But that's they did solid. Okay, great. But it is hard to admit that between free agency and the draft, the Eagles seem to be leading. Not forget the East or whatever, the NFL overall.
They're definitely making bigger moves than anybody.
That has such a successful
and I think
offseason and draft so far.
And remember the salary cap. The Eagles were like the worst, the second worst in the cap, and now they're making moves because that's Howie Roseman and how he does it. And that's, unfortunately, Jerry Jones is stubborn and sticks to his ways. They're altering a little bit. Howie Roseman alters as needed. And that's why they're beating us in that sense, in that way.
And I think one of the reasons that maybe things are feeling a little bit more lackluster draft-wise is because, on one hand, we did see the Cowboys, become a little more aggressive when it came to free agency. But when it came to this draft, it doesn't seem like they're being as aggressive I think as you're seeing, like the Eagles are just
the Cowboys are being
really
being
aggressive and putting a lot into this upcoming year.
Because the Cowboys are being more aggressive than they usually are in certain ways and certain things. I mean, when trading up a little bit is a big deal. The last time we traded up like this was like Biadish, like 4 years ago. So we don't really trade up ever at all, which is relatively a good thing. In the first round, you don't want to trade up and give up too much draft capital, but then we never ever trade up, and now we did that. That's a difference changer there. A different move, change of philosophy. If it's a tackle, Mozzie Smith in the first round, different philosophy, going heavy defense after going heavy, in the draft, after going heavy defense in free agency and trades, defense. And then, again, I'm just saying, like, all of this stuff is different, but it's not. It's for us, it's huge, it's big. But for the Eagles, they just keep doing what they do because they adapt and evolve with, not the Eagles. The Eagles suck. Howie Roseman gets all the credit from me. And that's where it stops when it comes to Philly. He's the reason why they are able to go to the Super Bowl in 2017 and win that one, unfortunately, and go to the Super Bowl again last year and try to make another run at a weaker NFC in general. Now we got the Niners and the Cowboys.
But to be fair, one of the reasons that I think that we're saying all this stuff about their draft and others, it is easy to see with their picks, like what they're there to do. Does that make sense?
I agree.
You can tell just based on the guys we drafted, there's a lot of projects, a lot of
and that's the problem.
Adaptations,
that's the problem.
A lot of, like massaging that has to happen
to
make it work. So on that side of things, I do understand why people are a little frustrated.
There's a lot of versatility in these picks, and there's not as much instant, like direct player position impact. It's more about, he's going to go here and there and here and there. And I think that's the frustration part of things as well. So I feel everybody out there saying these things, and I understand. By the way, that was Mark, right?
Yes, that was Mark.
I think he's 1-2 behind second place right now, behind Skeptical Fan. He's got 84 points on that Stream Boss. That's a Sean McEwen who might be running short in his time in Dallas. McEwen might be going to the practice squad. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Taking Novacek's number there. But anyways, guys, Ezekiel Elliott. Question was asked: is this going to change anything? Drafting, Deuce Vaughn, or is Zeke still in the contention? Are we going to try to re-sign him? Jerry Jones said, "quote The ship has not sailed there," meaning they're not done trying to pursue Zeke. He said, "quote We haven't made a decision at all as far as our interest in Zeke. Nothing we did today in this draft changes that. I haven't ruled out Zeke." So Zeke might be back. He might be on a $2 million deal with maybe up to $5 million, something like that, playing that second string backup run. Not the backup, but our power goal line, short yardage running back. And if you're going to get him for that, you got to get him $2 million. That's it. You don't get him much more than that. Maybe a couple incentives, up to 3. I don't know. Don't go over that.
I think that Zeke was hoping that after the draft, like other teams would be contacting him now that they know their situation and say, "Hey,
that's what he's waiting on too."
So
he's waiting on that.
Yeah, my point is that I think Jerry is waiting for that to resolve itself, so that he can then go ahead and call up Zeke and make an offer.
Yeah, that's when you can start negotiating. Okay, they're going to give you $1 million. They're going to give you $2 million. We'll give you $2 million with the incentives up to 3. And someone's going to give them $6 million. Then go to the $6 million, and we'll stay with Ronald Jones. So continuing this discussion, I know that it continued again. I know you have all the info on this, maybe, so I'm going to let you handle this. I'll put the draft picks up and let you take over. Because, again, Jerry Jones kept speaking about Deuce Vaughn. It was really the Deuce Vaughn show today. When it came to the day 3 discussions, the post game discussions, it was all about Deuce Vaughn. Day 3.
This is all I have.
The day 3, Deuce Vaughn was higher on the Cowboys board than where he was selected. So, being on that board on day 3, the Cowboys might have had him a 5th rounder or such.
I don't have any of that, just so you know.
All right. Sorry, you do, but all right. Maybe that's okay. It's all right. I'll do it. Deuce Vaughn was, again, around 5th round pick for the Cowboys, but we didn't draft him until the end of the 6th. All right. And again, according to you watched it, the Cowboys, it was obvious their value of this selection was exceptional for Jerry Jones. So that was one of the main things there. No, I'm saying that was one of the main things there.
I was already there.
I know. Well, I had skipped in front. That's what I'm trying to say, because I don't think you were there at the beginning. But anyways, McCarthy also spoke about him and saying, quote, he was the highest one on our board when we picked him. So, just the Cowboys loved him where he was on the draft board. The value for this pick was the best of the day, according to the Cowboys. Stephen Jones said, quote, this guy is one of the best football players in the country, Period. You can see him running through the Alabama defense, breaking ankles. It makes you a believer real fast. So again, guys, that is
they liked Vaughn outside of just the personal connection is the point that they're obviously trying to make abundantly clear here. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and that's a point I think that valid. It's a valid point when you see him on the field. As long as he's not injury prone, his size is the issue. But if you use him properly, you get the most out of him. So you can't run him as a full time running back, 3-down guy. That's never going to be, never going to be Deuce Vaughn's role in any team ever. But what is his role? McCarthy said the plan for Deuce Vaughn, quote, there are some very distinct concepts I have in mind for him. He's a dynamic player. And again, they asked if he's ever had a Deuce Vaughn type of player and how he'll use him. Mike McCarthy said, mentions the same things that he did in Green Bay with Randall Cobb. So that's a receiver style guy with some maybe getting the ball in his hands, kind of quick receiver screens. West Coast offense, we got a guy that matches what Mike McCarthy did, and he loved to do in the West Coast offense. With Randall Cobb, we're going to see that in similar ways, I think. And again, this ain't Kellen Moore talking. This is Mike McCarthy who's running the offense. He's saying he's going to use him in that Randall Cobb kind of way. Jerry Jones said also that Brian Schottenheimer worked for the Chargers when Darren Sproles was drafted. And so he knows about using these quick scat back running backs like a Darren Sproles, like a Deuce Vaughn. So that was, today's discussion, day 3. I know we had day 2 in the house here.
Yes.
And I know that's a lot of the Schoon.
Yeah, I was going to say
Schoon maker.
The shoe shiner.
Shoe shiner and Overshown. So, yeah, how did that go, baby? Our second round pick. Now that's day 3, but we got to go yesterday, guys, and hear what the Joneses and family said about our 2 picks there. Luke Schoonmaker and linebacker DeMarvion Overshown. But let's start with the tight end.
I was going to say, I do want to clarify here, because I know there's some comments tonight about him not being like the starter. Dallas said he is going to be the starter in terms of snaps, a tight end on the line, in the slot, and in the backfield.
Well. That's the way they trick you. But he's not a starter.
Starter in terms of snaps.
Well, that's fine. But he's not going to. It's going to be Jake Ferguson. That's my belief. That's my opinion. That's
what I'm trying to say. I think that's how they get around that.
Right,
he's not going to be a starter, or he's going to be a starter.
Right,
he's
but not
going to be
starter.
The starter.
Right, he's going to start in 12 personnel.
Exactly. So, but Mike McCarthy said a little more clearly. Define a starter. Is it 40-plus plays? Is it 30-plus? In a 17-game season, all these guys in the tight end room are going to contribute. But I would definitely view Luke as a starter type. So, and McCarthy went on to say...
He's a starter that is going to be a backup this year in the a starter that's going to be 12 personnel and getting 40 snaps. So that's what he's saying.
I jokingly said it before. I was obviously right. Tight end by committee. Mike McCarthy, as far as the things that they were looking for specifically in Schoonmaker, he said he'll play all 4 positions on the tight end role. There's not going to be a whole lot that he hasn't done that we're going to ask him to do. He also notes that apparently Schoonmaker runs much better than people give him credit for, and that they think that they can help develop some of his vertical game. AKA, they'll help make him a better passer.
Athletic. You got to remember, guys, I know people realize this based on the video, and he's a very, very athletic scouting tester. You know what I'm saying? When he went to the combine, one of the most athletic tight ends in the NFL. I'll explain that in a minute. But go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mark. Once again with a $3
Mark Hosepian in the house.
Holler. He said, bottom line is we have 2 playmakers and a bunch of what ifs. That's the clown show. Quantity over quality. We want to run, and Deuce is a perfect pick, and Mozzie improves our run defense. No other major contributors.
Again, I agree with the major impact contributors like day 1. I think you're going to get a lot of little impacts, and I say this is a discussion of little impacts in this draft talk we're at now. I say day 3, that's not even impact. That's depth, and I agree with him there. But I think the impacts come with Mozzie Smith, as he agreed. Mm-hmm. I know we got Deuce Vaughn on the running back side, but then I think Luke Schoonmaker is impactful in the run game with the blocking. Mm-hmm. I think he's impactful as your second tight end, which it sounds like the Cowboys are going to use 40 snaps of. That equals a starter. It's not 60 snaps, but it's 40 snaps. So I think that's the point on him. He is a starter. he's going to get in that game, whether as the number 2 tight end, as the number 3 receiver, as the number 2 running back, as a fullback. I'm just saying this is where he's going to be as a player. He's not going to be at the first snap, so he's not a starter. And I think Overshown is a similar guy in that sense. He's going to be a big-time contributor, but not necessarily an impactful starter. Rotational, yes. Getting used to getting that Jaron Curse, Donovan Wilson stuff down, that's what Overshown's probably going to be doing. So I understand the concern. I think that I understand also, though, the connection to what we're trying to do on this team.
Yeah. So, real quick, guys, moving on, right, to DeMarvion Overshown. So, which the Cowboys, we already touched on all that. So, which the Cowboys called their blinking light. So, I think
I know why.
Blinking, I gotta change the battery,
I think I know why. It's because it's a family member's friend.
Yeah, Jerry said the light was blinking, blinking, blinking. Said it was a personal thrill to be able to pick a player that was so closely associated with his family. Whether it's practicing or playing, he's just all over the place. He's everywhere. Jerry said that he was a blue chip player just sitting there for us. Will McClay said, just put it on the tape.
And that's the thing. Will McClay,
I love that.
Will McClay just said, put the tape on, you'll see what this guy can do. And, the Cowboys loved it. Of course, they also have his grandson, right? Jerry Jones' grandson also gave him a big thumbs up on that pick. On that player.
McCarthy added in there, this is a great fit. We were just holding our breath that he stayed up there. His play style, to me, that's what you're looking for as a coach. In the 3rd round, we felt like that was big. And hell yeah, we're excited about him helping us on special teams.
We knew special teams was going to be big for a lot. We heard about Fossil going all over the place with the coaches because he's checking out for not just good players, but good players that can also contribute on special teams, get the value for that draft pick in that way.
Yeah. And as far as some of the picks that we've picked as of day 2, and let's be honest, into day 3 now even, they're not exactly sexy. Let's be real. And we know what we mean when we say sexy picks. Or, and McCarthy said, I disagree with your question. I think it's sexy as hell. So,
whoa!
McCarthy's
Mike McCarthy.
Let me get your number, girl.
McCarthy's getting too happy over there.
In McCarthy's mind, those trade additions and trade moves that we made, they count towards the draft. So for him, he's like, you want a little sex appeal, maybe go get it there. I don't know what you're into. So
well, hey, look, if you look at that, Brandon Cooks I'm curious to know what my guy here, Mark Hovsepian, who's outspoken about this, what happens now to this draft when you have 8 guys plus these 3 other guys, 11 guys that you got through draft picks. How do you feel about the draft now? That's a question that must be asked because you're using draft capital. You're not getting players over there, where in there, whatever. You don't get players in there. You get in players on your team right there.
And that was when
for
McCarthy,
1 or 2 or 3 years.
That was when McCarthy showed that paper. That had these guys on there, and he's like, "We already drafted 6 players, all cute."
That was yesterday. After we had 3 and then 3 more. Now we've drafted 11 players. Technically, I know quantity versus quality, but you got some quality here when you add those 3 yellow trades to this mix. Trades, not players trades or free agent signings, but also trading with your picks. Yeah. So that's another move there. Maybe
Stephen Jones also threw in there that one thing that's also changing is we're apparently getting players or more players from high-end schools. He said you've got guys that are proven. They're battle-tested, and you look at the Power 5, they're differentiating themselves even more. So, Boise... Bye-bye.
That's what I was going to say. Boise State off the board.
That was the first thing I thought of when I saw that.
Same here.
We're not saying that quiet part out loud. Jerry Jones also said that they're actively still looking for help at the kicker position. You already touched on this, but that it's obviously very likely that it might end up being either an undrafted free agent or just a regular old free agent if they can't get what they want in the draft. And obviously, they didn't get what they wanted in the draft. So we went in a different direction. So, let me see here. No, I think we already touched on the fact that he touched on the fact that the Ezekiel Elliott ship has not sailed.
Yeah, that was. I think you got done. Did you mention about DeMarvion Overshown as the first Texas defender drafted by the Cowboys? It's right. I got this.
Yeah, I think you have that.
Yeah, this is just what I wanted to say about Overshown real quick, guys. That and I guess I can do this tomorrow. I just wanted to say,
say what's up. But actually, let's go ahead and do it tomorrow, just because we have so many other things that we touched on, and I still want to touch on the poll. I want to do some shout outs here in the chat.
Of course,
and I see a few comments in the chat too that I think we should address before we wrap it up.
All right, so we got just Mozzie Smith, right? Day one.
I'm about to sneeze.
So. Off camera, man. I'll take over for you. Here you go.
I'm trying.
Guys, as I filibuster, I'll give you a little preview of what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Luke Schoonmaker. You look at his kind of ratings and stuff, you'll see why he is fitting this offense. And I'm going to explain a little more how I think the Cowboys are going to utilize him in our offense. And I kind of already told you guys some ideas, 12 personnel, but he's going to be utilized 40 snaps. He'll have 10 at inline tight end blocker. He'll have, 10 at the slot position, or maybe 5 at the slot. He'll have 15 at the on a 12 personnel set. And just saying, now you're at 35 or so. You got me? So I think that's what 25, 35. Just on those basic things, no matter what, he's going to get like half the game starting. And then if he gets over that, that's going to be, I think, throughout the season, he'll gain usage in Mike McCarthy's offensive scheme and whatever West Coast offense we're using. Maybe when we run more, well, obviously, we're going to see a lot of, he'll have, maybe he'll go 45, 50 snaps. Just saying, Schoonmaker. So, and then on the games that we have to, or whatever the reason we're throwing more, you get a little less Schoonmaker. That's what I think is going to be. You get more Ferguson and Hendershot. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know, but I'll break it down a little bit more tomorrow. He gets bumped in his routes when he runs them, and it's hard to get back. He does a lot of that. He crosses safeties' faces, creates separation with impressive acceleration and burst out of his passing routes. So that's one of the things we'll talk about tomorrow. And Overshown, guys, again, just so you know, another MCFer here. She's embarrassed. She's looking away. Asha, Cowboy Asha in the house.
I like our picks.
She just wants food.
Go Jerry.
Right?
Yeah, because she knows Jerry has the premium dog treats.
So,
right, Asha?
So, as far as Overshown, as we're moving on to day one, backwards to day one, Back to the Future. The first Texas defender drafted by Jerry Jones, Cowboys, since he was the general manager and owner of this team. Think about that, guys. We've gotten offensive guys and we've never gotten a defensive player since in our history under Jerry Jones. The last Texas Longhorn defensive player we drafted was linebacker Chris Dulabin, 307th overall in 1986. I don't remember him. So we'll talk about more stuff that I think you're going to see from the Marvian Overshown and at the playing kind of like the former safety linebacker in the combination, because his run stop ability is off the charts. So that's why I'm saying when you look at our draft and you're seeing Mozzie Smith, Overshown as a run stopper, not just a coverage guy he's okay, but he's really good as a run stopper. And Asim, Fehoko in the mix here, Junior Fehoko. When you look at these three guys, it's mainly 90% run defense. That's all. We'll leave it there.
We obviously have one particular thing in mind.
We know what we're trying to improve, and we're doing it through the draft this time, and with Hankins by re-signing him. A guy we traded for last year and gave up that pick, which, And
again, helping the run defense helps. The pass defense helps. The offense helps.
Correct.
The team.
Right? Yeah. So, again, we'll talk about these two picks in the second day 2, round 2 and 3 tomorrow. We're going to the first round pick here, Mozzie Smith.
I thought we were...
No, we were doing Mozzie Smith tonight. We had the press conference, unfortunately. That's the one thing we missed on day 1, which is just the end of the show here. The rundown of what Mozzie Smith said. Well, not Mozzie Smith, but what... Hold on, baby.
The press conference, right?
Yeah, the press conference of... Sorry, I know you're a little...
No. I'm already here. I'm good. I'm just trying to make sure we're on the same page as far as what we were talking about, because I thought we were...
No, we're doing this.
Else,
we got to finish this first, and then we'll be caught up.
So again, I know I touched on... I actually mentioned this at the beginning of our stream today, but he is the first defensive tackle drafted since Russell, Maryland in 1991.
First overall pick.
So again, I was not even alive. Mozzie Smith also said that his agent, Joel Segal, told him that, there's a good chance he could be picked anywhere from between 25 and 40. And obviously, we came knocking at 26. He said, quote, "It was surreal. I couldn't sleep this morning. It hit me." He said that he feels like he's ready to just step on the field. I've been wanting to explode all day, but I know I got to save it. But yeah, I'm just ready to hit somebody.
He was ready.
So he was also in Dallas with his mom, Kenya. He spent the first round of the draft with her. He said, "It's been me and my mom. I made a decision to have it just be me and my mom for draft night, and I made that decision because you only do it one time. It's been me and my mom since I was born. The sacrifice she made for me, I don't think I'll ever be able to repay, but I can try. and I can now show her things she's never seen before, a different side of life. I don't know anybody tougher than my mom.
So again, a big part of his life there for Mozzie Smith.
Yeah. So I thought it was also funny. His first impression of our Cowboy facility, he said, "There's a lot of money in here." That was the first thing that stood out. So
that's Jerry.
He also said, as far as his play strength, when I put my hands on somebody, they go backwards. It's not often that doesn't happen.
Hey, we need that guy again. Dontari Poe in his early years. That's kind of, he never went backwards in his early years. That's hopefully what we'll see, that kind of push forward. And remember, what do we want to do on the defensive line?
Push them all back.
Push them. We don't want to penetrate the offense. We want to push them back into the running backs, back into the quarterbacks, and then have Micah coming off the edge.
Yeah, and outside of Quinn, Mozzie said that he also had the chance to speak to Osa and Tyler Smith, respectively.
All three guys
that's pretty good.
Hung out for a little bit.
Mozzie throwing out there that if you want to have a good defense, you need to have a good middle.
That's very true, as we know.
That is, because our defense took that next step when we improved our middle.
Hankins showed us the way through Quinn and Jonathan Hankins.
So adding in there, as far as our Cowboy defense, he said, I know they've got a bunch of dogs. I know they value what they have up front. I know they have stars at every level on the defense. And I know they brought me in to stop the run, be a dominant physical presence on the inside. So
Mozzie spoke in that press conference and just kind of, gave you a little glimpse of what he can do on the field. He got a little joking, a little insight of his background, but now you see what he's going to do in that field.
Yeah, and McCarthy, by the way, he said it's like Christmas drafting Mozzie. So
especially it must be really like Christmas and New Year's for Dan Quinn then.
Yeah, so and I know we touched on this a little bit yesterday, but that the real work is going to begin when Mozzie and Tyler Smith, respectively, hit the field for training camp and get to actually play up against each other. Iron. So
those one-on-one reps, you'll see some of that, and also with Asim Richards, right? He'll be going up against a lot. He'll see a lot of Mozzie Smith.
I thought it was also funny the way that Jerry talked about him, because someone in our chat said earlier, when you saw, I think, Mozzie and you saw McCarthy, you realize like they're the same width. Basically, like he's a big guy, right? But Jerry said that when he saw Mozzie Smith, he said, "Now that looks like an NFL defensive lineman right there." So
he don't know what it looks like because we never draft one.
He said that he had the same feeling though when he saw Troy, when he saw Tyron Smith, right? Like as far as like Troy, like that's like an NFL quarterback.
Like something about them, the aura is like this guy is made for this position, or they're built for this. Whether it's Aikman, Tyron Smith,
some very high praise.
Mozzie Smith.
Just throwing that out there. And then Stephen Jones even commented on Mozzie, saying that we believe there's more to him than just the nose. That's what he was asked to do at Michigan, and he played his technique amazingly. So basically just saying that, Dan Quinn's magic, working on the scheme, working on his stance and things like that are going to hopefully bring out an even better, more productive side of Mozzie Smith. So
I can't wait. I cannot wait. I am excited. Again, not the best draft overall in the world, but we'll talk about this much more in detail tomorrow.
Yeah, Steven's comments as far as maybe trading up or down, he said, quote, "We really didn't have discussions about trading up because we had 3-4 guys we wanted to have discussions about. If anything, there's a lot more intensity put in the thought of moving back. But at the end of the day, we felt like Mozzie Smith separated himself from the other 2-3 players we had discussions about, and we didn't want to take the chance of losing him. And as it turns out, there were 3 or 4 defensive linemen that were picked to finish out the first round. We feel good about what we did, but if anything, we had more discussions about going back than we did moving up." So, and obviously at the time, the Cowboys were asked, do you still have any first-round grades left on your board? Steven, declined to answer that, but now we know that they had, I think, like maybe 1 or 2. Supposedly Schoonmaker is supposed to be one of them.
Third guy?
I don't know how much of that at least is true. Because if they really like Laporta that much more and all these other guys that we kind of supposedly knew the Cowboys had interest in, I don't see Schoonmaker making it onto that list. But who the hell cares, right? Stephen Jones just said, "We like having the picks. It takes something unique for us to want to give up picks. We like making our team deeper and creating competition, and we like the way our board is stacked to do that." So,
you're seeing it now with the ending result. That was on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Now you're seeing what the final result is here. As the draft ended, undrafted. We talked about that earlier. If you missed it, check it out, guys. I'm losing my voice here.
I know.
But we'll finish up strong here, guys, because I do have a couple drops to shout out. Sorry, guys. All my reading, I couldn't see.
It's all right. So while you go ahead and get that set up, let me shout out the chat here.
Yeah.
And one last time, guys, yes. Hit like, sub it up, hit that notification bell. We'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow is really our real draft wrap up.
Our feelings and more of our feelings and opinion. This is more the facts and what went down, whether it's the Cowboys, what they said, the players, what they said, or the stats that back it up. But we'll talk about our feelings about each position, each player, and undrafted tomorrow.
I am still in a position where I'm still trying to gather my thoughts, right? There's some things I like. There's some things I don't outright hate them. I'm just, right now, I'm not initially a fan. I can see what the Cowboys are trying to do here for sure. That doesn't necessarily mean that I like it or think it was the best situation. And part of it, too, is that I know for a fact that there were several positions, not just today, but even yesterday, where we could have gone in a different direction. We chose not to. And I'm still trying to kind of process that, I guess. Again, it might not be a sexy draft, but it is confusing. So, it doesn't have to necessarily be sexy for it to make sense. And right now, I still think that we're trying to figure that out. I'm still surprised it was so defensive. Like, I'm still trying to get how many past defensive players do we have? And it is slightly disappointing that one of the only offensive players that we got at a high-value pick was, to me, a little bit of a disappointment in
tight end.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I don't think anybody is all that excited for shoe shiner, spoon
You're gonna kill me with this one. Now let me shout out a couple.
I'm sorry, and I'm only doing it today because after this, I probably won't purposely disrespect him because he's a Dallas Cowboy. He deserves our respect, but.
Overall, just remember when you talk about this draft, guys, and we're going to look at your favorite day 3 pick. When you look at the whole draft, and you're looking at 1, 2, we got 11 total guys, but I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that 4 guys on defense? 5 guys on defense, I think. There, yeah. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. I think I'm at 1.
Yeah,
2,
I see
3,
5
4.
offensive players.
Yeah,
we have the tight end,
and 4
O-line,
so
running back, receiver.
Right, that's what, 5? No, 4.
Yeah, that's the 5 offensive. The tight end, Luke Spoonmaker.
Right.
Okay.
Offensive lineman, the running back,
Richards,
that's 4.
ASMR.
Right. There's only 4.
Running back, Deuce Vaughn.
It's a split down the middle thing here.
Receiver, Jalen Hurts.
4 and 4, guys. 4 offense, 4 defense.
Yeah.
Would you ever predicted that in this, especially 4 defense in the first 5 picks?
Again, I really thought it would lean heavily offense. Like
3 in the first 4.
I've been saying that for a while. So.
Yeah, I agree. But then you look at below here, your face, and you see offense Brandon Cooks, another offensive player. But then you got 2 defensive players that we use those draft picks on. So in the end, it's 6-5 defense over offense in this draft. Also, many more free agents that we signed that were defense. Also, trades, as you can see here, 2 out of the 3 were defense. So, again, I guess Jonathan Hankins don't count. That was last year, technically. We signed him this year. Anyway, we got him back is the point. Either way, look at it as a whole.
It was a 2023 draft pick that we traded for him, wasn't it?
No, it was 2020. It was this year. No,
that's what I'm saying. So even though we got him last year, we got him on a future.
Yeah, in October last October we traded from 2022 for 2023 pick away for Hankins, which we got him for the rest of the year, and then we re-signed him. Which I say that would never happen if he was just on some other team.
Happen?
We
Us wrapping up this stream if I don't hustle you along a little bit.
Well, but more importantly, baby, than our well-being here tonight.
That's what I'm trying to do.
More importantly, we got a guy in second place on the Cash App, tied with the Q Man, Mr. Stewart.
Ooh, much love, Mr.
In the
Stewart.
chat, appreciate you, man. And he's on that board, as you've seen it probably already. He's up there, tied in 4th place with the Q Man, Justin Quarles, with a $20 Tony Pollard holler.
Much love.
Much love to him. No comment in here, but any comments he wants to say in there?
He's made several comments tonight, and I can tell you right now.
Does he like this draft?
No, not really. Again,
I can't wait to hear tomorrow with the opinions and the poll we're going to have for the entirety of the draft. I'm curious, do you also take into account like the traded players too?
I will say one thing. I didn't get the chance to say it then, but most people, when you first mentioned that comment by Jerry, most of them said, Jerry, don't feed us that bullshit.
Which part about
don't try to there's nothing wrong with
No, but which comment was it?
It's him trying to like squeeze in there, like make it seem like, oh, I think it was McCarthy actually, I guess, who said it. Like trying to add in those moves into like our draft now. Like,
yeah, you guys don't buy into that.
That's not how it works necessarily. Not saying you can't consider it part of it, but just no.
I do.
They don't consider it.
I know why they're doing it, but I do kind of have to agree because those are draft picks that we utilized for these players. We would have drafted a player, right? We're assuming we would have drafted a player. Instead of just throwing the pick away, right? So we got a player, and we did get a player, and it's Brandon Cooks for 2 years and Stephon Gilmore for 1 year. It's not a rookie deal, but it's a trade, and we'll see what happens.
Again,
we did it for Hankins, and we got him for another year, so that's now a year and a half for Hankins for a 6th rounder. That's worth it.
If you're talking technicalities, yes, you're right. It is part of it, but if you're talking about
the actual players, the young rookies, no. And these young rookies are all...
Because it certainly doesn't feel
these
like
young
it's
rookies
part of the
are all 24 years old and 25 years old because of COVID. They all kind of delayed a year, and they're coming out into the NFL a little older.
And again, it's not like there's any kind of super clear, obvious miss, because I can tell you right now,
I know.
The second we drafted Nashawn Wright, I was pissed at it.
I know.
And you know it because I could not let that go for a while. So... What I'm trying to say there is that there's no like outright obvious, oh man, like misses. I actually, if anything, tight end is maybe the most obvious possible miss. Yeah, we'll have to wait to be. Everyone's going
to be extremely and should be critical about that pick, about that. That I think the Schoonmaker pick is the real critical one of them all. I would say, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Mr. Stewart, thank you, much love to you, and then. Another drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on it. No. 6 and beyond. Jason Renfro with that drop. The love from above there in the Cash App. Keeping his lead intact. In first place on the overall board. In first place on the Cash App board. Much love to Jason Renfro trying to get that crown back once again. And that sponsor of the week. Which, by the way, Marco Sepien, 87 points on the Stream Boss. And second place. Second place on the overall board. 1 night to go. It's going to be a much shorter stream, but it's going to be more discussion and more our feelings. Your feelings, we'll discuss it all. Can't wait to do that tomorrow. I know you're going to do some shout-outs. So
I'm going to do the shout-outs here in the chat, but
I'm losing my voice today.
I actually think Overshown is my favorite pick of the game.
Really?
No. Just because, to me, it's like, I hate to say it, it's like the Goldilocks. He got picked exactly where I thought he would be, where he was kind of projected to be. He was something that, just like I said, he checks the most boxes and to me just makes the most sense. Out of all the picks in this draft, even Mozzie, right? It doesn't feel like a reach. It doesn't feel like a I know maybe it doesn't feel as much of a steal, but what I'm saying is like he's the guy that fell exactly where he was supposed to fall, how we expected him to fall in the way that we did, and just I like it. Like there's nothing to be mad at there.
I have a tie for 2 favorite picks here, and it is
Mozzie, of course.
Pick 161 and 176. Those are my favorite 2 picks.
Nice.
But out of the rookie class, the draft class players, I mean, listen, my number 2 on this list is Mozzie Smith because I do think his impact is going to help everybody else on the defense. Everybody on the defense is going to win because of Mozzie Smith. Every single person. So Micah Parsons is going to be better. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be better. Osa is going to be better.
And that means our Sundays are going to be a lot better.
And that means we stop the run and the whole defense is better. The secondary is better. So everyone is better with Mozzie. So to me, yeah, maybe you can call it a reach. I actually take that back. I think he's right where he needed to be picked. Between 26 and 35 and 31. Because that's where he was going to go. So Mozzie Smith's number 2. I'll tell you my number 1 in a minute. First, let me hear about the guy trying to get that number 1 spot again and back-to-back this thing, Marco Sepien.
Much love, Mark.
Our sponsor of the week. What did the man say as he's getting closer to first place?
We have Parsons, Van Der Esch, Damone, Clark, and Cox. We play 2 linebackers. When does our 3rd rounder play? If that guard we drafted has to play, we are in trouble.
I'm telling you right now.
Same for that corner. 2 great picks followed by the clown show.
Well, again, you and that's your picks. I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, so first of all, remember, Parsons, technically linebacker, absolutely will never play a single snap at linebacker ever again. And if he'll play maybe 1. My point is...
That's not that he'll play linebacker 100 snaps or so. I know you're saying minimal.
Apparently, hyperbole is not something we learned. You got to go back to 5th grade. LVE, like you said earlier today, no hyperbole involved. He's basically only here for this year. And
injury prone, we know.
And he is slightly injury prone, right? He got hurt, towards the end of last season. So, Damone Clark...
They did that.
Him and Hankins got hurt in the same game.
Yeah, true. But again, he's actually been good for almost 2 full years.
I know.
Until then, yeah. No, he got back. On the field.
Is there anything else you want to review here?
I forgot that. Maybe it's late for me
anyway,
too.
Damone Clark. Honestly, I don't think we have to say too much about him. He's, his star is rising beyond any of our expectations. So, honestly, I'm just looking forward to seeing what he has to do.
Knock on wood.
Jabril Cox,
injury stuff. Yeah.
Hasn't really done much.
Listen,
I'm sad about him because I was expecting more, but to me, Jabril Cox is just kind of
here.
like there. So
to me,
if anything, he's the guy that gets shuffled out of the mix very easily here.
To me, this is a pickup at linebacker. Overshown, he's going to push Jabril Cox to the backup. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to be the fourth stringer.
How many more years are we going to wait for, Jabril Cox is turning into the Asim Fehoko of the defense?
Yeah, but we used the 4th round pick on one. The other guy's undrafted. So obviously it's much more important that we don't lose a Jabril Cox. But if he's not going to produce like Kelvin Joseph or Nashawn Wright, then you got to start having secondary plans. And I think that's what the Cowboys are thinking about when it comes to a backup role there and pushing other guys. And that's why you bring in Overshown. Because if he produces the way we think he will, with Damone Clark as maybe the future 1-2 linebackers and Micah blitzing, you got, I don't know, Wilson will still be here. He's here for 3 years.
But it is a harder pill to swallow to think that your second-round pick is going to be basically an additional player. Like,
I think you have to look at...
You know what I mean? Like, he's going to start, like McCarthy said, based on play time. He's going to get the most play time out of any of the tight ends.
Right, but
he's probably not necessarily going to be the most productive of our tight ends, which is already what's being hinted at.
Stats and production, that's what you're not getting from Mozzie. You're not getting that from Schoonmaker. You're getting other stuff from them, but not that. And Overshown, you'll get that eventually, but you're going to get right now, a situational guy that's going to get opportunities in Dan Quinn's defense. So
Madman also throwing out there, he thinks that Fajoko's a bad pick. So again, we'll definitely.
I have to. That's the one I have to see the most.
We'll touch on that more tomorrow. Yeah. But where he was, that's what I'm saying. Where he was picked, it doesn't feel as bad.
I think we could have done better there. But if the Cowboys moving to 3 tech, I can buy into that a little bit better. Listen, to me, that is. I don't know about Jalen Brooks too much. He's not really that big of an important pick there. But to me, out of anybody outside of him, Fajoko's probably the worst pick, the one I have the most questions about. To me, again, I said Mozzie Smith's my second favorite. Why? Again, he really would have been my favorite, but he's picked where he was supposed to. I think Deuce Vaughn is the guy that's going to make a huge impact on the offense. Not necessarily the beginning of the season, but I think as the season goes on, you'll see, I think his usage go up because they don't want to, Pollard might show a little bit of a slowdown if they're overusing him.
I think Pollard getting hurt last year made them realize that they need to have even a Pollard backup plan, right? Like,
good point.
Vaughn's never going to be any kind of a power back, but he has a lot of that same shiftiness and ability to avoid tackles that really makes Pollard as successful as he has been, right? Like,
Agreed.
You put him in a situation where he, not a goal line situation, he can make something happen there, and I think that they're just looking at him as like the Pollard backup in that sense, which is why I don't think it's that crazy to think about Zeke maybe coming back or we'll get into that a lot more.
A lot of teams have that third down back as in a scat back, receiving back like a Deuce Vaughn outside of having a Pollard there. And then you also, a lot of teams always usually have a power back as well.
I think for this season though, I hate to reduce him. Knows? Right? Like, going back to some of the comments he made, I hate to reduce him to only, like, some of the more specialized things he can do. But, man, if he doesn't do something on special teams this upcoming season, I will eat my left foot, okay? I think that special teams is where we're going to see him genuinely have the impact that we were all hoping Turpin would maybe have.
Oh, Vaughn. Yes, I see what you're saying. Well,
so, and if he also isn't immediately part of our hands team, then we did something wrong. Like, I'm just saying, like, he needs to be involved in that, because even you mentioned that he has pretty solid hands. Now, baby, I'm going to...
Yeah, I know, baby.
I was going to do the final shout-outs, please.
Yeah, definitely. No, I just want to leave everybody with a good taste in their mouth on Viliami Fehoko, Junior Fehoko. 332 pass rushing snaps from the edge, which he's going to probably be a little better as the Cowboys get him bigger and work him inside. 332 pass rush snaps, about 3 or 5 tech spot. 66 pressures, 12 sacks, 4 hits, 50 hurries, 3 batted balls. Every 2.5 pass rushing snaps, he got home to the quarterback, made an impact some way. Every 2.5 pass rushing snaps, he did one of those things: pressure, sacks, hits, hurries, or knocked the ball down. Every 2.5 pass rushing snaps, he impacted the quarterback in some shape, form, or fashion. and the accumulation of plays that impacted the quarterback are compared to how many pass rushing snaps that player got home, so to speak, guys, that's better. That get home rate is better than Nolan Smith, who was the guy we wanted to pick. I'm not saying he's going to be that. I'm just throwing a little bit of fact there to feel a little bit better about the one we feel the worst about. Maybe worse than even than the tight end there and Schoonmaker. But yeah, Viliami Fehoko. Anyways, I'm done.
Here we go. So first of all, shout out to everybody here hanging, chilling with us. Thank you, Mark Hovsepian. We have Luis Ortiz in the house. Mr. Stewart said maybe Dak can hand Vaughn the ball, pick him up, and throw him in the end zone.
Can you give him the ball and throw him? Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I'm thinking more of like, hear me out here, a Wii Sports bowling type of situation. Hand the ball off to Vaughn. Just fold them up and just have Dak do a little, just a little.
I'm curious to see how he's going to hide behind the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
And
Madman, much love, landlord from Wakanda. Don't worry, that's never going to happen here. Thomas Garrett, much love. Cleveland Brown, by the way, no relation to Simi Fehoko and Viliami Fehoko, but they are double checking that family tree because maybe Daddy Fehoko got around. Well, not that Daddy Fehoko.
Great grandpa. Fehoko. And that's where both Fehokos are talking right now on Twitter. It's funny because when we went live, they were just talking still about it and trying to figure out some connection because they believe there is definitely a connection between both of them now on the same team.
It is a possibility. So. Let me see. Christian E, much love. Appreciate you. Jason Renfro, of course.
Yes.
And he said it. Overshown got picked exactly where I thought he would be.
And good call on that. I thought he might maybe for most teams he goes in the fourth. But remember, end of the third is like early fourth at this point with comp picks and all that stuff.
It's splitting hairs at that point by the time we went to draft.
Early fourth, late third, same thing.
Let me see. Madman in the house, much love. We have...
He is related to Vita Vea. Yep, that is true when it comes
Robert
to Fehoko.
Hunt, hello. Bruce got the toxic juice.
Much love the Madman, by the way.
Mr. A. Lavelle, of course. Cactus G in the place to be. Thomas Garrett, the superior Garrett.
Always.
Burn Bar, much love.
Burn.
Aztec Aguilar 04. We have Aztec as well.
In the house. Everybody,
Mike Aldana, have a great night.
Do not forget to hit that like button for the stream. Subscribe.
House Nelson in the house. Pioneer. Sergio Acosta. Eric Thomas. Frame Rippers, much love. Hector
Colon. Hey, listen, hit the notification bell too. All videos, if you haven't done it already, because we're going live tomorrow and going to get a more relaxed, less statistical, analytical breakdown on the facts. We're going to give our opinions and our feelings, and you guys probably want to be there for that.
And again,
and we want yours as well.
Overall, at the draft. So, baby, go ahead, close out the poll.
Oh, yes. So what's the final numbers? Well, we know it already.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it now. But
of course.
As we start wrapping things up here tonight, guys, yes, you know why we do everything that we do here at My Cowboys Family.
3 hours in this. We knew it was a long one. Thank you guys for sticking around. We had 80 plus to 70 to 60 still.
Hey, 3 hours for day 3.
That's right.
So as far as our favorite pick from day 3, overwhelmingly Deuce Vaughn, 66% of the votes. Asim Richards just barely beat out Viliami Fehoko with 15%
good.
and 14% respectively. And only 3% said Eric Scott Jr. because we're also trying to figure out why the Cowboys like him so much.
And that would probably be my big question mark, even bigger than Fehoko, is that one. Because Fehoko will move into 3-tech.
But a 6th-round pick it's fine for a 6th-round pick to be a question mark. Yeah, a little bit more than your 4th-round pick.
Very true. Very true. Very good stuff. We'll talk about it tomorrow right here on My Cowboys Family, guys. Thank you for being here with us on the nightly. Once again, finishing the week off tomorrow. Marco Hovsepian running the show here. Trent M from Australia running the Cash App King. And, of course, running the whole thing tonight. And this week, Jason Renfro in the lead right now. But appreciate everybody else who dropped the love tonight here through all the forms we got. All the different ways, right? The Venmo, the Cash App, the PayPal Direct, or right through here, Streamlabs. Either way, appreciate you guys. Thank you guys. Can't do this without your love and support. Your comments. The whole experience here in My Cowboys Family. 3 hours plus, that's what we do. When it matters, when it counts, we're always here. No matter what, Tube messes with us at times. It's all good. We are repping that navy blue, silver too, and that star over everything, guys. Never forget. You know it. Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly here. We rep that star over everything. And on this channel, My Cowboys Family for almost 6 years and beyond. Never forget the number one thing here now and forever. As always, say it with us. Say it loud, say it proud. Go Cowboys. Let's get that 6 and beyond. Thank you guys for dropping the knowledge all night long in the chat. We'll be doing this again, part 2 tomorrow. So you don't want to miss that here live with us around midnight Eastern time. And of course, Thank you guys for the drops of love from above. Humbled and thankful for having such a great family member sticking through with us here through the thick and thin of whatever goes down here on YouTube. So appreciate you guys on that side as well. Can't do this for as long and as often as we do 3 hours without your guys' love and support on that side as well. So on that note, this night of the day 3 wrap up, tomorrow the full wrap up, tonight must come to an end. And before we clock out and drop out of here officially for the night and reload for the finale show tomorrow for the week, we crown the champions and some news, maybe some old. We'll see. Baby, before we can drop out of here, what do we got to do?
We got to drop the beat.
Yeah, guys, thank you once again. Day 3 recap and reaction, for the most part, some reaction, initial reactions, feelings. Rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, undrafted free agents. That was at the beginning. You don't want to miss that. We got 10 on board. Tomorrow we'll probably have 10 or 15 more. We'll see. Thank you all for rocking with us on another one right here on My Cowboys Family. You know what it is. My Cowboy Family. Never forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, go Cowboys!